One, ladies and gentlemen, may I request everyone to kindly take your seats. Please take your seats. And as we are about to commence the inaugural session of the Sa-Dhan HR Conclave on Excellence in Microfinance, Emerging Trends and Evolving Pathways 2026, I would like to mention that today is a very, very important day for Sa-Dhan staff. Today is Sa-Dhan's 28th birthday. On behalf of Sa-Dhan, I extend a warm welcome to our distinguished dignitaries, esteemed speakers, moderators, HR leaders, member institutions, partners, and all delegates who have traveled across states to be with us today. A warm welcome to all of you. Today's conclave has been thoughtfully designed to explore the evolving landscape of human resources in microfinance, focusing on emerging labor reforms, employee well-being, workplace culture, leadership development, and capacity building. We, Sa-Dhan, is delighted to have all of you with us and look forward to a day filled with meaningful discussions and valuable learning. To formally begin today's program, I invite Mr. G.G. Mabin, ED and CEO Sa-Dhan, to deliver the welcome address. Mr. D.G. Mabin, sir, please be on stage. It is also my privilege to invite a special guest, Mr. CHROs, PG, Executive Vice President and Country Head, Agri, Micro and Rural Banking, Federal Bank, to address the gathering. Please, it is early in the morning, all of us have breakfast. So,
Please. Hey. Thank you, Varna. Good morning to all. Namaskaram. A warm welcome to each one of you for today's HR Conclave on Excellence in Microfinance. First of all, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our chief guest today, Mr. Chandrababu. He is the Executive Vice President of and Country Head of Agriculture and Micro and Rural Banking at E-Bank. And each one of you who have come from various parts of the country. I'm really happy that we are able to meet here and we will be deliberating on the subject of HR excellence in microfinance. In fact, if you remember, first of all, let me make a small correction to what Varna said. It's not a happy day for only Sa-Dhan itself, it's a happy day for the entire Sa-Dhan membership. It's basically the members' day. Sa-Dhan is a members institution and each one of you are part of Sa-Dhan and it's our foundation day and happy foundation day. It's a 28th foundation day of Sa-Dhan. A happy foundation to each one of you. In fact, 2 years back, if you remember, we had a similar kind of an HR conclave in Chennai, where some of you have attended, I believe. And if you just look back, the last 2 years, we continued the process we started in Chennai, and finally we were able to bring out an HR standards cohort, which I think each one of you are having in your table, which we are having on with you, where we have laid out certain norms as far as the HR management is concerned in microfinance. First of all, I would like to thank Harish Ravu. He has been very, very helpful in developing this HR standards code. In fact, we had several rounds of consultations and discussions with various HRs of microfinance institutions. Of course, he himself has taken the pain to compile information from various organizations as well as from the general practices. And this HR static score basically laid down some 13 or 14 principles on which the office should be taken care of. Although we are not saying it's a mandatory one, but I would request each one of you to kindly follow the same or adopt the same with your own innovations, your own modifications. But these are some of the principles which are very much required in today's world. We know that HR is not the same about 20 years back or 30 years back in microfinance. The whole generation has changed. The generational change we need to take into account. Today's generation who works with us as field officers or as the staff of microfinance, their aspirations, their perspective are totally different from what we used to have maybe 20 years back or 30 years back. So that change we need to take into account. We need to ensure that more work-life balance is given to the employees so that they feel much more comfortable working with us. In fact, today morning I was just discussing with the Irish people also. See, their lookout is not only the money. Money is one aspect of it. Everybody needs money. But money is not the only aspect. In fact, we did a study also. We did a study with the help of QI. It is a support of Equifax who provided the funding support. We did a study and we surveyed around 2,000 existing and those are left around 50% of them are existing staff members and 50% are ones who are left the organizations, because we talk about attrition. So we wanted to know why attritions are happening, what is the way out, how do we limit that?
May I request Mr. Chandrakanu KG, Executive Vice President and Country Head, Agri, Micro and Rural Banking, Federal Bank, to address the gathering. So may I request share your thoughts.
Good morning, everybody. So first, let me congratulate everybody on this. I hear that it's the 28th Foundation Day of Sa-Dhan. So now Sa-Dhan has become an able-bodied gentleman or a woman, whatever you can call, ready to take and scale greater heights for the next years to come. So once again, wishing everybody a great time ahead for Sa-Dhan. So while I was welcome or invited by her to attend this conference or maybe give this keynote address, what she told me. So I was just thinking on what is the qualification that I have got to give a keynote address to this august audience. I was just looking at the people who are participating, the people who are a part of the panels, etc. And neither a microfinance specialist in that sense, nor I am an HR professional. So in neither of the way I would be ticking the boxes to do a keynote address. So please spare me some time. So what I will be speaking about is an outside view on what I feel, where we are and maybe what we can do. But most of the time I will be spending listening to most of you and understanding the pains that we are facing at this point of time. It's in the last 1 year that I got more opportunity to get into this business a little bit more and understand the pains. And I think the last 1 year was a really painful one for all of us. So in that sense, maybe I got some level of a qualification to understand the problems inside out. When we talk of banking, especially Federal Bank, if I look at it as a bank, we have always seen human as the core to any of the problems. So we have got a slogan in Federal Bank, what we call it as digital at the fore, but human at the core. People in Federal Bank who are associated with know the slogan that we used. While we see digital as very important for all our progress over the last many years, human at the end of the day is what is core to all of our problems and solutions. So in the end of the day, even if we have all this digital, the AI fad which is coming in now, I'm sure you all talk about AI now every day in and day out. And a day without talking about AI becomes a kind of, something we've lost or we're not talking the right things. But in spite of all these things, something which becomes very important for us to discuss is so the necessary level of profitability, but along with it also growth for the employees, growth for the customers, and for all of us as an ecosystem. So thank you once again for inviting me to this program.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chitrabhanu sir, and your insights on the changing financial system and importance of investing in people have truly enriched the inaugural session. So the next two sessions we'll be discussing on the culture, the appreciation, the new codes, everything we'll be discussing. So there's not a scope to understand the points. So we would like to have a photograph. First photographs. And we can request Mr. P.I. Ravi Mohan, ex-CGM RPI and ex-CGM ISAF Small Finance Bank. Ex-Chairman, I'm sorry, ex-Chairman.
To our SRA committee, a member of our
Please, a photo for 3 after.
Let's share it back. Yep.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
We now move to a panel discussion. The new labor act represents one of the most significant reforms in India's employment landscape. While the promise simplification and greater flexibility, their implementation also presents practical challenges for organization. Our first panel discussion will deliberate on new labor code, key challenges, opportunities, and implementation challenges. We begin with a lead presentation by Ms. Purvi Thakkar, Director, EY, Ernst & Young. Please welcome Purvi, who has come a long way. May I request Purvi to come and speak?
Adjustment of the Kochi. To say that out within broken.
Hi, good morning, everyone. A very good morning to all of you, and many congratulations to Sa-Dhan once again for the incredible journey that we have seen so far, and all the very best for the many more years to come. I'm delighted to be here, in the middle of all the industry experts and leaders to be talking about the most heated conversation, I would say, which is labor codes. So this came into picture in around November of 2025, and since then I think all of us as HR professionals would have had the opportunity to be a part of various seminars, webinars, conferences, meetings, discussions, conversations, etc., where we've all tried to decipher what labor codes is and how does it impact all of us and our organizations. Given that context, and given that all of you would have already studied quite a bit on this topic, I'm going to keep it very brief and simple. And I'm going to talk about only the top 4 or 5 key challenges, or the key changes, or the key highlights that the codes talks about. Before we even get into what these codes are, let's talk about why these codes in the very first place. Now, if you were to look at the Indian compliance, the labor compliance landscape, this has evolved for us over a period of many decades. Yeah, and what has happened is over this long span of time, we've had a lot of different labor laws enacted at different points in time with different objectives, with different problems to solve for, with different registers, with different authorities, with different value chains, which has complicated our labor code ecosystem quite a bit. And we've had immense chaos and immense struggle to be able to keep up with it. And that's when the labor codes, which has been recently launched, comes into picture. The objectives of the new labor code is very simple. It is to simplify our lives. It is to standardize things. It is to bring about consistency across not just organizations, but also across sectors for the country as a whole. to embed technology, because a lot of it, what the labor code talks about, is impossible to do without technology. So it forces us to embed technology. And lastly, for it to remain relevant with the changing workforce realities. A lot of our acts have been aged, but our workforce realities have evolved. So the labor codes also aligns there. Yep. So that's where the labor code comes into picture. Now let's look at some numbers to be able to understand and drive home the point. If you want to compare the legacy framework versus where the labor codes are, there were 29 central labor laws which are now getting consolidated into 4 labor codes. Yeah. There were 31 labor returns which is now on its way for one unified labor return. There were 84 registers that every organization managed, which is now moving to about 7 or 8 unified registers, making our lives a lot more easier. Yeah, but this is an end state picture which has been designed for all of us. It's not going to happen on its own. As HR fraternity, as all of us in this room, we have to plan this journey and implement this journey from the legacy structure to the end stage to make all our lives simpler and easier to understand. Yeah, so all the best to all of us. You have to put in a lot of effort, a lot of time, and a lot of intent to be able to get this right. And the reason why I say intent is because if we were to view labor codes as another compliance requirement, we are not going to be able to implement it in its true sense. We have to see this as another strategic change that we will bring about, and the way we look at our workforce, the way we plan for our workforce models needs to undergo substantial change for this one. Let's also take a quick look at the time frames. Yeah, so when we look at labor code, it's a concurrent topic, right? So there is a framework which has been announced centrally, but this will also be complemented with various rules that will be announced by every state. Now, the framework was announced centrally in November of 25. After that, the central rules have also been announced, which was in May of 26. In terms of the state-wise rules, that's in process. Some states have announced it. For some states, it's yet to be done, and the timeline is varying from one state to another. Now, when this came about first in November of 25, some of its provisions were with effect immediate basis, and hence many organizations have already done a review of their systems, policies, processes, their provisions, and implemented some bit right from December till as we speak. So some provisions are already reflected in most organizations' last financial year's statements. For some organizations, the compensation structures have already been updated. Most organizations have also coincided this with the appraisal cycle, so that there's least impact for the employees, and it also provides some cushion to the employees from a net take-home perspective. However, if I start talking about individual components, I'm jumping the gun here. So I'll take a step back. And, let's first understand what these 4 labor codes are. And I've put out, a lot of details on the screen, but I'm going to be very brief when I'm talking about it, because labor code actually is it requires a lot of deep dive for all of us as HR professionals. Now, if you want to look at the 4 pillars, the first pillar is talking about core on wages. The objective of this one is very simple. The objective is to bring about standardization. Now, if we think of 2 organizations paying the exact same salary to its employees, but because we have the liberty of structuring our compensation structure the way we like, the compliance outcome for both of these organizations is going to be very different. And that's where this pillar comes into play. The idea here is, by way of this law, some amount of flexibility in structuring our compensation is being taken away so that we are able to standardize it across the country. So that's the first one. The second is the Industrial Relations Code, or the IR Code. This talks about how do we define the relationship between an employer and an employee. So be it hiring, be it performance, be it looking at layoffs, retrenchment, all of it gets governed by the Industrial Relations Code, pretty much talking about how the engagement between an employer and employee needs to be structured. That's not to calculate our statutory benefits, which we used to calculate this on basic salary. If our basic pay roughly is in the range of about 45% as a percentage of our total pay. Yeah, let's make our PS contributions and goals. What's happening is there are certain exclusions which are already called out. I'll leave the compensation structure, there, but there's a lot more conversation that we can do around it. The second one that we were talking about was the framework to be able to classify our employees as employee versus worker. Now, by the time I got to this slide, I figured that this will become a very technical model and a monologue. So to break that, I have a short video that I would like to play, which explains this framework, and then we'll pick it from there.
Thank you, Purvi. Thank you, Purvi, for an excellent presentation. And I know many of you must be having many questions in your mind. Purvi is here. Your questions will be answered. And to take this discussion further, I invite the moderator of the next session, Mr. Jagdish Ramaju, MD Pragati Finserv Private Limited. Please welcome. Joining him in the panel are Mr. Bobby Matthew, Head HRSR Small Finance Bank. Mr. Shubhranshu Patnaik, Chief HR Officer, Microfinance. Mr. Bikram Mishra, Chief HR Officer, Dwara PGFS. Mr. Ashok Kumar, Chief HR Officer, Ashirvad Microfinance Limited. Thank you, gentlemen. May I now request...
Really wonderful to be here at this Sa-Dhan session. Very complicated subject to win. Right? It was not to be families here. I think thanks to Purvi, she is so uncomplicated. It's a little bit for all of us. The session earlier. So I just start with getting into the panel. We have, I think I'll just introduce quickly the panelists. We have here Ashok Kumar, who is CHRO of Microfinance, Bobby Matthew, Head HR of Small Finance Bank, of course, Bikram Mishra, CHRO of Dwara KTFS, and we have next to me Shubhranshu Patnaik, CHRO of Uddut Microfinance. Welcome everyone to this panel. When I was trying to, of course, the draft wage code is being released around 3-4 years back, right? Ever since then, it's been reading complicated. I don't know what to say. It's a jigsaw puzzle or Alfred Hitchcock, however, but that's how it's always very complicated to try and understand the different parts. It gets more and more complicated. It's almost minor when I look at it. It's reading the terms and traditions for the country as a whole, right? Setting up a HR manual for one company, one industry itself is complicated. Imagine trying to do an act, whoever has drafted this act for the whole country for various citizens' goal. Yeah, but I think we have finally reached some place. So let's talk about what the new wage code. So I will split the panel discussion into 4 parts. First, let us understand what are the implications of the new wage code, the most specific focus on our industry. Then we will look at how the implementation challenges. I think we looked at one is a little bit about understanding what is the impact of that. Let's also talk about the implementation challenges. And then let's see if there are any opportunities for us to reinvent ourselves with the people process perspective beyond simple compliance and help us understand how the new labor codes impacts microfinance and financial service sector as a whole, from more specifically from a cost angle and anything else like that. Good morning again.
This is a 100-year post-statistical legacy which is getting changed, and that as we were mentioning, 29 complicated laws which have lot of registers and the sections and be complied. Let's go on 24 plus the few age registers there. Here, one of the most significant thing, which is again clearly mentioned as financial impact. The first is the wage
structuring itself, if you had seen the case the police presentation, we had to restructure the entire the wage structure itself. And it is clearly seeing that 50% of whatever said and done, 50% has to be termed as wages itself, almost. Suppose if, okay, I'm just taking the rippling effect and all. Because the basic wages have a rippling effect on gratuity, OT, or your PF, and all other aspects. If you give 1,000 rupees overtime to a person in the last month of his service, let's say that 20 years of service he had, then it will be rippling into 20 into 500 or 15 by 26. So every year he will be coming around the 340 rupees. So we have to take care of that particular rippling effect so that it is the cost of impact on the organization has to be the derived for it. So we have to take due care, and whenever we are paying in overtime or any other aspects of the commission or the performance based and for the variable pay against the business, these all rippling effect would become invests. So we have to be very careful, and manually working out would be a challenge. So visualization is one of the core thing which we have to adhere. These are the two major aspects of the financial aspects. The second one is how to attend when we are accomplishing the full and final settlement in 2 days. There's a lot of cross-functional clean has to be carried. And those with all this calculation, you have to take. So apart from the actual payments, the visualization also will be another financial effect on all this. Thank you very much.
I think very nice report. I think broadly a cost-sensitive, I would say our sector is a cost-sensitive industry. So the cost-sensitive service industry, definitely the financial impact is something that is on top of our minds. And I also think digitalization is now becoming an essential imperative, especially to comply with the coding of the tools. So I moved to Ashok Kumar. Ashok, I think in the conversations yesterday, you were talking about a couple of points, especially on the impact of OT. I think in our space, we end up seeing that a lot of times when employees do work longer than the typical hours, typical 8 hours, whatever is statutory compliance, statutory minimum. So in that situation, like would like talk more about that? Yeah, would like to pick up better.
See, I think it would be as to very clearly the new structure explains inclusion versus Indian, basic literally. Retaining allows team to expecting some sort of maybe in 2-3 weeks. So, and all of us sense that from 2019, this is done. For this sector, I think we have already moved into this. The challenge for us is the new act binded us in exclusion is all the 14 elements he has going. If you look at only 2 elements we can touch is HRI and governance. These are the 2. So if you are making an offer to a loan of just 10,000, your basic NDA is 15,000 already. So remaining 15,000, you are presumed to do this. Because the rest of the element, whatever is staying in exclusion, are already reviewed by statutory or your work company. It's a like derivative payments. They're not random. What is worry, which he said, it may impact us, he also talked about, is a cascading impact in future, is one of the elements we important. So we need to really look at it to act. For this sector, I think the code of wages and the last one, wisdom, safety, and health. These 2 acts important. Working law is, as I said, if we cross that 15% which is sitting in exposure by even another 2,500, it will go back to the user. That's what seems like. And it will have a cascading impact into the base of the benefit, PA, PSA. So it is important for us to now this sector, us focus on working out how we manage and where to. So, I think whatever I experienced yesterday in Go, CS put that big clearly. Let's say we decide that we'll have a 9-hour working 6 days. So in that 1 hour is lunch break.
So 18 to 6, 48, we get now suppressed to the act. But we get caught, and in a month of 24 days, let's say employee is working and taking very big 1 hour per day, so 24 hours. Do you know what will be the impact? Immediately your pay will be of double hourly wages, which is not 3,000, it will reduce. Now the 6,000 is adding into 50,000 of essential. So now the salary is 36,000 instead of 30. So exposure is now more than the 50%. So it will move to exposure, then it will start impacting your leave and cash, ESI everywhere, gradually, even gradually. So that's the cost impact. Now coming to your first question on cost impact, practically the new code of wages is not impacting much. It's only our before auditors as I'm sorry, they must here. So yes, your CFO also will tell you that gratuity need to be actuary also has to go up. That is one area, but let's not worry. We are all running at 65 to 70% of artists. So gratuity is not an impact. What is going to impact also leave invest. And Government of India also understand more and more circulars started coming. I think you have seen leave investment is based on the wages only, yes, the stay. It's no more gross. So there are also understanding that they don't want to impact employer. And you will see more and more circular will come to clarify each of this statement. What is actually it is only one working hour. And this industry were not received to CHROs. We are sitting in a panel of CHRO. We have been talking about it for a long time. And now RBI circular has come almost 5 months back. It's very clearly we have to discipline ourselves. Our connection schedules has to be disciplined. We have to end the day, or rather week or 8 hours. That's it. How you configure is important, whether it is 9 hours with one hour break or 10 hours with 3 break, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 30 minutes, or somebody is trying to do 12 hours with a 4 hour break. Please don't do that. Because there is act also is saying that they are giving us a leeway that every 5 hours, give a break, but should not be more than 60. So the logic of that, I will make it 12 hours a day and make it 4 hours in afternoon as a lunch break. That will become a little difficult far away and coming with very clear, because I checked with one of the people and as well as the TSC, legal marriage in South India, TSC, they made it very clear, do not do such kind of things. I think the best model is either you choose 9 hours with 1 hour break, or 8.5 hours and 9.5 hours with 1 hour break for 5 days, and 60 days 5 hours after day. It's the choice to, or 10 hours with 2 hours. That will help us. This is the one area which he does in terms of OPEX is worthwhile and only. Otherwise, rest of the component we can manage well. There will be no additional impact to our currency in terms of the HF costs. The rest are all manageable with a little bit of smart. I mean,
all of these things has to be documented, which is a question. Most documented what by me always talking you work is 40 hours in a week, which has to be when emphasized in the organization, which is technically not possible in the wages. Okay, that is a challenge which we face today, but we have to enforce this. And I think was by giving gaps, because we start that day in the morning, and we should end up before 6 o'clock. So almost that's when these other, but we have to keep over as he says, we have to keep over the lunch break what we can. That maybe once again, open establishment also is coming into this particular thing, we will be having a better clarity of because that can be the these tools are to have some economic thing in it. So
I can see clearly that one of the most difficult aspect of the act as far as all the sector is concerned is working hours. Right, and I think one thing I can add up very clearly here is that we speak about 8 hours or 10 hours or even from morning to evening, people are working in the day. But actually speaking, what is the output there to give a day is very less. Okay, if you ask me, people are going like 30, they read the budget, I agree with that. But since it is a pay post, since they are packing with the customer on a daily basis, So what's happening is a lot of time is mixed with the way of eating. Okay, they go sometimes, they can go somewhere, they pick up the point because they find out, the set of passion with it, like all into or even in the common points, they kind of take normally are sitting in sound shows. Practically speaking, this is what it is happening in industry. But since the punch in and punch out is there in the system, it becomes a statutory part for us and we are getting up in page over there. But likely, it becomes, we are being more, friendly in terms of discussions on this, and we have to see the customer and the branch operating banks, which is there invested in any organizations, I believe. So that will have a big impact to go with this.
So fundamentally, what the panel members are clearly pointing out is that it's not really that they're working for 12 hours, right? There is probably they're not even working 8 hours. So look at the actual transaction time. Some of them could be worse, could be less. So does this also MFI employees stay in company accommodation? Does it complicate this working hours very much?
Yes, to some extent. That's it, because that's I was about to talk about. I think we will have our boards in August, most of us. I think it is item that in this time should realize our working hour, keep policy and different board. Two more points. One is we should talk about that any digital transactions post working hour would not be considered as working hour, because has to be embedded into your policy. Otherwise, you will be in a trouble, because we have spoiled them. They are connecting at one place. We said that we should post it, not we. They're coming back to the branch, which is their residency branch, and they're posting their post working hour and doing any research. Part of their working hours, stage working hour, will get into it. So it is very important to say that we have to have whatever you decide, what is login, logout. Beyond that, any kind of things you are doing without consult of the appropriate authority. So appropriate authority has to be FD or CHRO. It should not be those regional managers or cluster manager or deputy regional managers. It has to be appropriate authority. So anyone is doing any kind of transaction here working hour without consent, not to consider as a working hour, please add this logic in your policy so that you are secure. Because the digital era, transactions will continue beyond your working. So it will become a problem for you, particularly wherever you are in the restrictions.
Very yes.
So that your question, and you're asking whether the residential to have a graduate way. But frankly speaking, in the current scenario, the retention program are so great. Because one thing about what we expected after some year or someone the reason really why I'm finding out is living on it. Because people are not interested to take an expediency to see Saturday attendance as well as Monday morning attendance with major impact. Saturdays people will be running away from the places where they want to go, because after 2 o'clock you can't even see anybody sitting in the offices. There is actually not standing in what place, they will be trying to move on these places. And even Monday morning, if you happen to come for 30 months away from, practically speaking, there is nothing a big headache of the applications today. So that's why most of them are thinking of going into the current trade box rather than going into a residential model, commercial phonic, which will help us to because it has work-life balance as well. Because sitting in the office, I'm sitting with the colleague and rather than go coming back one morning, get ready by the games itself, or the hours are spent just to get the 8 o'clock. A lot of difference in their mindset because they have their lunch streamer. Okay, match are then along with it. So that gives a lot of changes to their mindset, and they have an opportunity to stay with their family, stay with their pets. So that means a lot of change over the current humans.
Any other provisions of the labor code, Ashok, which you think has a significant impact on operation in this space?
Seeing associations like both and business which happens along with it. When you say that when microfinance with HR and trade, so we only two is like a positive. You want to like the provision on the associates, the other one will more efficient, the main impacting us in our provide. Okay, so as you all know, it's like we are dealing with their people, the contracts that or the field staffs and staffs come, the staffs across multiple locations. We have that to do around us. Yes, these are the person to one the leader, within a whole about English. And Tom is two like one is like so one is like the British obligate.
So these were either thinking that because it interlinks with both the sides. Where one effect costs were again speak about the cost, but on the other side, business industry, then may have seen a lot of ups and downs in the systems. And so they're keeping that in place and keeping the employee model because attrition is on the other side is very high. But the way that definition of wages talks about anything like here, stagnation about one side there was an increase in minimum wages, one side there was an uprise which is high in the year. So I think it had significant time to reward the entire salary structures, though there was an implication on the statutory payments and all. Okay, so but we need to do in this. But I can say because there are a lot of things like many of them are paid, but there is a component of the challenge history and so on. So which in the sound we do access to of the data, and though there was a lot of thing which is small data and HR we keep to do that. In the HR is very good definitely exploring. And second thing is obviously yes, the data stigma the business industry that is what we are going to do and what is cost.
So I asked the last question to Suzanne Pranshu here. Pranshu, you had the HR function in Microfinance, a very large organization, established HR systems. What kind of issues are you seeing in terms of ensuring compliance to the Act? And also, I'll add a follow-up question to that, so you can answer it with it. What is are you also seeing the employee experience while you're looking at this change in the compliance? Produce much more.
Yeah. So, first of all, thank you to Sa-Dhan for giving this opportunity as a panel of speaker. And good afternoon to all of you. I mean, sir, come to your question 1 minute after. I just want to summarize why this code is becoming employee code is becoming one of the major implementation right now. If you see the Government of India vision, we will be to develop a country by 2047. One side, government is pushing employees to formal kind of segment under the Prime Minister Yogana. And other side, government also is making the transparency in the system. So that across the system, the transparency should be there. And with this code, by 2047, across the industry, we should have kind of, developed. That is number one. And coming to the challenges after an organization, sir, if you are larger, always it will be more steady from the stakeholders, from the authorities, from the compliance part. Having said that, being a larger, it is automatically compliance is not automatically. We have to revisit our kind of policies, and we as a company, our compliance is driven from the board, and compliance is a culture for us. So if you talk about the voice code, and I'm proud to say that in our system, since inception, I can see this condition of the code that 50% of your wages should be basic plus rate is already been there. So that is no major impact. Now to coming to the challenges, yes, we have to revise our policies. We have to revise our all kind of leave embarrassment policy and the communication. The employee. We are talking about employee experience. Of course, yes. Who we are actually dealing a person in the field who only knows whether he is getting his payment on time or not. Be it his school allowance, salary, or incentive. Yesterday I was talking to a field staff. I asked, do you know there is a lever which code has come all these things? He's saying, no sir, I thank you that my salary is coming on 29th of every month. So this is what the people we are doing. So if you bring transparency, the trust will build all the system. And when the trust builds, Sam was talking about the dependability trust. Once the trust become, visible, so the employee experience will be more, enjoyable. They'll enjoy the system and they will explore more. Rather going to a gig platform, they can stay with us with all social security, 360-degree coverage with their parents, with their backup listed, and this communication play a vital role.
And this, as per my, just like this wage code will completely change the. I will also see the previous presentation. The extreme right side, it was written as economic transformation. This is exactly the kind of idea I want. Make the employment industry complete transparent, and everybody should not have any ambiguities. Previously, every state will have a different minimum wage set of things. Now, the central government will decide the minimum wage. There will be a threshold. The state government cannot go up, come down. So we'll have a unique kind of platform actors. So these are all the way I can see. So there's a very we should go at the organizers who are trying a lot of degrees happening, a lot of consulting is happening, but sooner the better. This has to be implemented, and the organizer who will implement first will be the kind of treated as one of the leading organizations. And I think that more talent and ability will also carry signal organization.
I think a very interesting perspective that you brought out, how to be, I think the younger generations that we mostly now sector higher are looking at jobs, and therefore I think this can be seen as one way of building long-term talent and retention. So it's a very interesting perspective that Ganshu has brought out. So if I just think broadly, if you look at the panels, all of the opinion that there is, the impact is primarily in two areas. One in terms of the wage code, one in terms of social security and retirements. This is all the benefits, the security benefits. And within that, I think they have clearly identified that the working hours is one of the biggest challenges that we need to investigate to address. So let's just move on to the next round. I would like to understand, for the sake of all the people who are attending in this conclave, what is the challenges? Let's look at what are the challenges we will see in terms of implementation. So I go to Bobby, I think. Bobby, to implement some of the changes that we're talking about, wage code, the structures or the working hours or the various other retirement districts, how important is communicating right to the employees, and how the change management working in your operation? How do you mind what are challenges? I take a certain cue from Sa-Dhan. It's the last person in the organization has to understand what is the changes. And many a time, as the legacy has set in and the people are built on it. Now, the second phase is that there is a lot of media shorts and other things which is going on this particular labor codes, which complicate the things further and confuses people more. So one of the things which organization has to take and continuously communicate is what exactly is this code and how this will be benefiting the organization, how this will be benefiting the employees. So these two aspects has to be gone through. Taking one example on the Sa-Dhan settlement in 2 days, it has to get multiple clearances from multiple departments. Unless these all the departments are working in a synchronized way, we will not be able to work this out in 2 days. So for that also we have to train our line managers or communicate these all things to the line managers and the importance of getting up or the labor code and going by the line managers. And the second thing is the HR managers. It's the field, the HR manager also has to be communicated. So this chain of communication and cross-functional communication is one of the key areas which we have to work out. So we have to completely use all kinds of methodologies to communicate this in multiple languages. Because all the microfinance organizations have been, the employees have been routed into the overall areas where they will not be able to understand the one single language.
I'll just add to what we say that employee food and finance settlement within 2 days were possible or not possible. And he rightly pointed out that a lot of technologies required. And now what we have seen, there are a lot of AI is already available. So we have gone ahead with the effort, which is processing our all the ESI, just 50 minutes of time at 16,500 people. So there is no manual intervention into that. So those technologies should come, I think, and this is a preparedness towards achieving this 2 days goal.
and the proper education should be provided to all the staffs, all the leadership team, all these things. And sir, I just want to touch upon one point that we were talking with time. We are actually in finance industry. Sir was talking about RBI guidelines, RBI very strict. Do we really require overtime? I think in a different way. Rather, we think how should we make that they should work less than 8 hours? My colleague in next panel, Udish, will speak, our CEO, what are the things we have done? How we are doing that so that, the time will come down. The working hours will come down. How we have made our system, the demands will not fall into any holidays, any regional holidays or national holidays. Today, if you ask, this overtime is not daily overtimes. The overtime they are telling is calling them to work on holidays. Now, what previously they were doing, they were taking advance collection. But now the RBI regulation has come, you cannot take the advance collection. If you are taking, you have to give the interest to the customer. So all areas we have to think through to be really required this overtime. So this is my point. I thought I just be sure. Would you like to add to this? I mean, I think here you touched upon this point previously that it's very important to align the functional heights and the overall management. This new obvious thing is that have been contemplated operation. Would you like to share your experience on what you're doing in your operation?
Yeah, obviously, like if you see like a chap out here, you have to acting. It's one of the important thing in any organization which we have to take it forward because on a colleague was speaking about it 100% in 2 days of time. So practically speaking, today we are thinking with him a lot of cash is getting involved in this. So when the cash is getting involved, obviously a lot of personal has to be done in the setup meetings. We have to do a lot of practical exposures towards that, which is practically taking a lot of time because 80% of the cases are responding towards CFNF. So which is now hitting the show. And resignation which comes 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days, it is again hitting us. So the technology, as I was talking about the ball, but although we have seen in technology how we can track this issue concern departments, how we can take it forward from there. So these are some of the communications. So this is like, see some of the communications, the way what I'm talking about is today the internal systems are not speaking each other. So if you see there, the business platforms, what are be one of the HR platforms, be what were the calculators platform, they are working with the also it's not another to many things because we HR work with some platforms, business work with some platforms, and the other some team works with some platform. What is happening is there was no messages to the teams. Maybe some organizations follow the practicalistic, but any other organizations are not following. So there is a lot of communication which is latent behind it. So what we have to do is like if you talk about the awareness towards this entire capable permission, what we want to do is like first we have to educate the business leaders. First we have to train the business. We have to ensure that each and every person in the organization. Today, majority of the things are working on the WhatsApp. We are not even working on the main communication or something like that. It will be practically follows the WhatsApp list. That is a last mile approach, and many of them are not even the WhatsApp and the businesses. Though we try to communicate what is happening in the field, it is not enough to go into the area. Then we end up putting the notice board practically, like whatever you want, if you make, put the code of contact, put this, all of these, put the demonstrators, at this, whenever you are doing an early meeting in the morning, we speak about it. We are conducting workshops to our entire analysts, our entire leadership team, like our training team, and L&D team, everybody is doing it, but still, it is not the reaches and last make of the person who is required to be for the whole entire. So that is most important, which we are working towards in our organization. If you ask me, the AAM is now started working on the training is very hard to ensure each and every follow the negative that one size company is working on the aspects of how we can redefine the policies, be it HR policies, how we have to do the audit reviews, how the entire statutory, basically the entire salary structures, the leave policies, all this, how we have to realign the structures, and then we have to conduct a network. We have audits also for those programs to ensure that they meet the obligations, what they're going to arise in future has to be done. These are the areas where we have started working on it, and we are seeing a good impact in the last couple of months, which I get always So what you're saying is not just payroll and HR policy. The whole organization needs to sort of re-engineer some of their processes, whether it's working hours or how you conduct business.
Exactly. It cannot be like everything depends on businesses as HR. It should be like enablers. Business is enablers. Yeah. Because a lot of people who are working in the other side is payroll. I mean, not payroll, sorry, HR, legal, compliances, finance, CCU, that is the basically then is working there. Then product is working with us. So all the people should be into this. Then only as an organization we can train whatever we want to do.
So I just asked Vikram to add to this. I'll come back to financial after that. I just asked Vikram to add to this. How has your experience been in trying to convince the other functions or working together to engineer some of the systems? What is required as per the UH coordinate? Consequent to the implementation.
I think is of a major focus for us now to integrate governance more you do, because he's applying maybe HRMS, it is not come out with the branch managers. Why branch manager is expected to do that in HRMS, all this problem at the absconding is now getting informed in HRMS. So it is more holiness and integration of systems are required. The challenge in this is to convince, because it will be very difficult for all of us to struggle. Because they are sales, they will say that I have to make business. So you as HR, you should take care of how to make the way to manage the governance. So compliance is one side, employee expense is one side in this system. It's not that we need to choose one of them. It is how we integrate this together is quite challenging in that way. But it is, if we take this way, I think any thing I would say, how we do the comply and simplify, humanize. First we talked about compliance design has to be done such that automatically working on is getting calculated, what is getting calculated, your payroll system is done, all the returns for which covered is automatically is going, because it's only now 8 return, it's no more 93. So those checks are one. Second is simplify your policy so that everyone understand. The contract letter has to be completely designed such that employee is very clear whether he is an employee or worker, what is the working hour, what is the holidays, how much is it due, what is the productivity expected out of it. Loan officers has to be corrected, if not corrected. So there is certainly something we have to do. That simplification is important. Now coming to the humanize, I think it does work that you have to make transparency as an experience of employee. So transparency in your say and doing has to be very clear. The second part is, it's not about empowering your line manager or branch manager. It is more enhancing his knowledge. They are already powered. Today you promote him, your loan officer to PM, he got a power to fire and hire. We all got public. So they ask people to leave, they want to hire, they will trouble your HR to so much that they will reject all good candidates so that you don't have choice to do this stuff. So all branch managers are power. They don't know the implications. The language they use is getting recorded by the Gen Z loan officer. That's the point, is business and HR has to work together. How we ensure that they understand the implications or consequence of their actions carrying out. It's not about the kind of adhering to a compliance. It's all about adoption, user adoption is important. So I think that is something is important to improve or engage. Employee experience in microfinance is what? They are expecting a predictive system. They are expecting a fair working hour. We are talking about it. They are expecting a very clear, accurate pay. Accurate pay is not about the accurate sales incentive or the QL hours. It's about informations. It's about that they should each one of our loan management system should have a business calendar really. So our loan officers see what are the disbursement and collection due for the day, and end of the day he should be able to see how much he have done. So the appraisal is happening daily. He will not get it surprised when he is getting low sales incentive or fuel accounts. It is linked to his performance. That is something is required. We all have fraud management tracker. You can have a 6 month data is good. If you're a smaller analysis, you might have to take 3 years data. You have to create the persona by seeing those fraud management and implement that into the loan management system. I have already started this project. It is giving me certain like a persona among the loans. And if the persona A is required some kind of intervention to do that. And I'm sure this persona A is to help you to reduce your, because what kind of profile you are hiring through your symptomatic tests, effects is not going to tell you. Once he join your company, he will not think he knows how to smartly their system. So it is important that the HRMS system and loan management system has to travel. Then only employee exchange will be growing. That's more important. So it is not that employee exchange has to be taken priority or compliance has to be taken priority or business. All three has to work together. But only thing how we bring this go together. The last bit is how we bring up all this. We talked about the AI and all kind of interviews systems, so that the communication is clear and transparency is maintained. Is something is
Sure. Very interesting experience taking. Not sure what to add something.
Sir, we were talking about compliance. What I can say once, I just did a couple of days back, our result PA Commissioner, Mr. Sa-Dhan, saying, so we were just discussing, I was just asked, sir, these are the things are coming, so what is your view on that? He told me one thing, that don't build the policy on exceptions. Never ever go and design a policy or change a policy for an exception. And if you do that, you should be ready for compliance issue. And then we were thinking, can we take a little bit of, over here, we can change later part, all these things, which is not possible. And why I thought I will just give that point here in this is, we should now talk the compliance as a employee care. You were talking about branding, reputation, how the new transition will move this employee branding and organizing the reputation. See, all this codes, all this compliance, everything is 100%. It will be definitely a person who is coming here and saying this is an ethical organization, number one. And they are doing business with ethics. And definitely that will increase your brand value, obviously. And that ecosystem will overall it will change if you talk the compliance as an employee care. The employee will feel that the company is talking for me. This is the compliance, okay, fair enough. I don't, because I mean, that likely saying we are dealing 75% of the field staff, because they want to know how much, what time, that's all. Whether it is 50%, 60%, they don't know. If we talk in transparency as a care, see, look, company has treat for you, all these things, you are very covered, under 360 degree of social security, all these things, then he will feel something, depth. So all this way, that's what I thought, sir, I'd say with
No, I think definitely the fact that the Microfinance industry, the employees are spread over a very large geography. It's not concentrated in 2-3 locations, but let's say maybe in a place like Muttur, maybe 1,000 different branches and limited supervisory and managerial presence at those locations. So the challenges of communicating, challenges of creating the transparent experiences, employee care is definitely something a little bit more challenging in the MFI space. With that, I'll just move to one last question before I open the floor to the audience for any practical questions or inputs that they want from you. I think we talked about the digital part, the importance of having FNF in 2 days, therefore the integration of this. Would you like to give any additional suggestions or inputs on that for the experience of the interested audience here? The specific suggestions for the digital part. And just one thing, so we were discussing all systems are working in silo. No system is talking each other kind of things, but again, I think will come next time. This means our systems are all integrated. Today, RO cannot do business without a HRMS intervention. Whether he is today leave is there, it is also been tracked, and the system will not allow
somebody was talking about after the night hours. Night hours should not be, the digital payments should not be collected, should not be transacted. But that transaction is only happening is personally API. But we don't have that system. It comes a dynamic UI. And that's just, it's a kind of time limit. So all those things can be digitally, can be done. And today in this thing, it's just a, kind of integration, India integration. Just integrated, so everything will be through as per the that's today I said the RPA process is doing the ESIBF. We are exercising by September. Our salary will be also processing by April. There is no manual intervention is required. So all these things, it is available right now. It is only, as I said, who is coming first and who is implementing that, or will be the lead the particular segment and also the compliance, all of the needs. Yeah.
Good, I'm sure, because something which we had to start is integrating the India digital platform, where again the systems can talk to each other, the systems can take actions on its own. And most of the things which has been coming to the core to the moving as rule-oriented routines. So these things can be integrated into the systems, and that system has to be integrated with the business aspects. So the control systems can also break around that the business control. So that will ensure the compliance also is automatically built.
Few changes has been done. I said one is obviously integrated. I was seeing an instrument like it was not much, but there is this next level of power. If an employee is absconding or engaged in such cases also we will expect 2 days, but it is a recovery. There is an optional. So in that situation, what do you need to do? You have to process the settlement within 2 days. You are not giving repayment. So there is a difference. Because it's a recoverable, you need to send that. If you don't do, you are ready to go. So if it is a payable, somebody has given 45 days, 60 days or 90 days notice to year, I think we should be able to complete our no-due clearance, they would call it employee clearance. If your systems are integrated, I know it's a challenge. I've already done it's working. Now coming to the other thing, we have implemented chatbot tools. It is appearing in right pillar of the floor management system. So employee can stick those in 8 languages. It is the particular speech to text and answering. That those certainly all my HRS and Guru, the learning management system, and it is able to answer their online data. Only thing is, it's not that light. It is overall, a batch process. So it is giving a night of 4 hours, but it is able to give a coding space now. Then able to see even at this moment we are getting some micro learning 1 minute, 2 minutes in all 9 languages, so that he can understand how it is getting affected. If it is the local travel reimbursement, yeah, that is a one point. All of you stop using habouts because it's a spend and game. Fuel allows us Jatra or you'll see local convenience allows. Please drop that word of announce. You will get into the word. It's a spend and game, so it has to be the reverse. So here how it is calculated, say sensitive how it is calculated. Leave it how it is recalculated. They get confused. Because now cases has happened, it is getting accurate 6 marks, which all of us with it is no record. So they get surprised suddenly it is going out, it is going down, all those things. So I think it is important that you create a forum where we are able to interact with that particular platform. You call it employee experience platform. It's a different name, all of us can be live with those, you can get some years. And so it is important that we reach to that stage. Otherwise, I think not able to manage this, whatever less thing.
Yeah, I think very interesting. I think also while their investments in the MFA space has been in lending technology, like integrating CB data or real-time switch. Now the next, the wage code as well as the requirements, compliance requirements, mandate us to also start investing a lot in HR systems, especially as you said, dashboards, RPA integrations, robotic processes, agentic processes, etc. Employee experience thought process. That's something which I think all of us will take it from that. Do we have time for a couple of questions?
Have the question.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Thank you. I think thank you very much to all of you for this wonderful with us. Thank you.
For such a detailed discussion, may I request now Gigi sir to come on stage and just a token of appreciation, gratitude for all the panelists.
Matt.
The panel discussion on new labor code, e-changes, opportunities, and implementation challenges. Lead presentation made by Purvi Thakkar, Director, E&Y. Thank you so much, Purvi. We are honored to have you. Thank you. Mr. Jagdish Ramajugu, MD Pragati Finserv Private Limited. Mr. Shubhranshu Patanai, CHRO Muthu Microfinance. Mr. Bikram Mishra, CHRO Dwana KGFS. Mr. Bobby Matthew, Head HR SF Small Finance Bank. Mr. Ashok Kumar, CHRO Ashirvad Microfinance Limited. All of us can stand together and have a
Another.
It's a look here, hopefully.
Yeah, what's it? Inside the sets.
And the theme will be the employee first culture in microfinance, prioritizing working conditions, work culture, and grievance redressal. So to set the context, I'm going to make a small presentation. It won't take much time, just to brief you on the HR standards code for the microfinance sector that Sa-Dhan has developed. Why do we say so, employee first? Because like Steve Jobs has said, great things in business never done by one person, they are done by a team of people. And here HR managers, HR heads, we all know that. And long before Steve Jobs, Aristotle said, pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. So if we keep our employees well, safe, happy, then perfection in work will come. So here I am, like in 2023, we had the HR conference in Chennai. And there we discussed that we should have HR study. M2I was hired, all these things Gigi sir has mentioned. M2I was engaged. And we did a study on optimizing field staff retention in microfinance institution, a pathway to women's empowerment. We actually did work with 1939 branch level MFI staff, including both currently employed and dropped out employees. Of those interviewed, 1274 were dropped out employees, while 665 were still employed. Many recommendations were there, like tracking workers and identifying the address, why they left, gaps incapacity building, then costs involved in having a training, dedicated training and development vertical. Many recommendations were there, out of which one was setting the standard for the HR in microfinance sector. Sa-Dhan got in touch with Harish Raghu. He's a veteran in the industry, sector expert, created a task force of 8 MFIs: Swatantra, Muthur, Sa-Dhan, Spandana, Annapurna, Grami Development, Satya, and C. We used to bother them, we used to take them in a call, and we used to discuss what can be done best to bring out these codes. Then we went to, like with Harish, of course, personal calls to the middle and senior level HR managers across organizations, various branch levels, CEOs and MDs, and then the context was set by Sa-Dhan. 14 major categories and 195 sub-parameters. Collaboratively, we made the industry-driven approach. And aligned it with the Labour Code of 2025. So these were the points we actually worked on: it, broad approved policies, combined employee-focused employee policies, reviewed and approved by the board. These are all which you have already, but we said these should be there and you should abide. Obviously, Sa-Dhan cannot impose anything, but we can always say, like the board evaluates employee grievance redressal mechanism every 6 months. This should be done. Respecting the MFI ecosystem, the microfinance and sector, all of us are here from the microfinance sector. We deal with microfinance and employees who connect closely with the communities and drive financial inclusion. So, customer-first culture should be there. Customer-centric behavior embedded in all policies, procedure, and employee interaction. Caring family culture. Inclusive culture at all hierarchy levels, addressing clean staff concerns on infrastructure and treatment. It's not only the higher levels, we encourage the region office and the headquarters, also like head office also staff, to participate in all these workshops, conclaves, to build networks and best practices to understand what is happening in the industry. And third-party service, that is more important, which should be of the international standards to analyze aspirations, feedback, and issues. That really helps, we have seen in many cases. Ethical hiring. So, robust background verification has to be done. Education, employment, police, PF bank checks. No custody of original certificates. We, as an association, often receive complaints from employees, staff, saying that institutions have withheld their certificates, and after the resignation also, they are not giving them back. Such things shouldn't happen. There should be some discussion, some in between, some way can be found out so that this type of imbalance is not there. Balanced promotion and relocation. And somebody was saying in the last session that this is very important. We have to look for promotions in an order, and we cannot do anything out of the way. Transparent appraisals, continuous informed mechanisms, the next model. Appraisals are something which is like all over all institutions. Probably it's very rarely that we can satisfy the employees, but it should be transparent enough that employees understand that next year we can do better. Equal opportunity commitment. Track the woman-employee ratio via monthly MIS. Open hiring for all all communities, LGBT spectrum and persons with disabilities also, if we can give any scope to people with special abilities, that would be great. Religion shouldn't be a boundary. So compensation and benefits, this we have talked in the last session, discussed timely wage payments. Like from Sa-Dhan, we can say only timely wage payments, as Muthod was saying that getting the salary on 29, that is what matters. End of the day for a young boy or a field officer, like whenever salary is credited in our accounts, I can assure you every one of us feels so happy, no matter if the AMI was the next moment, but still if when salary gets credited in our account, all of us feel so happy. So, and if insurance can be given to parents apart from the employee and the immediate family, if insurance can be given to parents also, that helps a lot. Like immediate family in the sense, wife and children. Office timings, this is also another point that was discussed earlier. Office timings, as first we must mention in the policy, HR policy about the timings, so that there is no discrepancy later, like how we go with it, whether it's flexible or whether it's strict, how does the login time differs and all. Flexible leave approval and emergency leave systems, I won't go with all these. Hygienic washrooms, including dedicated facility for women, dedicated staff living rooms, dedicated fresh. And another thing we tend to miss out is the safety. Safety part is very important for all the employees, whether they are working in head office or whether they are working in fields. Definitely the field staff requires more assurance and safety. Attrition management and risk controls. Monthly attrition, why the attrition is happening, and like Niji sir had said, that attrition is good, new people should come in to share their more ideas, but definitely a high rate of attrition is not good for the sector, for the institution. Mandatory exit interviews, candidate feedback presented to the HODs. Like, if we can have these, you all are HR heads over here sitting. So these things must be very common in your organization. So nothing to say much, but these things, they are also advised by Sa-Dhan, suggested by Sa-Dhan, if we can go for it. Zero tolerance to fraud policy, no physical or verbal abuse, whistleblower policy promoted widely, accurate evidence-based effects reporting. That is also very important. Whistleblower policy, which help us to understand what can happen, is there any problem, and accurate evidence-based Equifax reporting. If we are getting the reports from Equifax, we should grievance officer in charge should have his WhatsApp number popularized among all the employees so that any problem anywhere can reach to him on time. Before the person goes out, leaves the organization, doesn't speak well about my organization after going out, the officer, the HR grievance officer can help us with that. Your CEO can also have a number to share with the employees so that the CEO can be reached and share his problem. Professional handling of trade unions, I think this is something we are facing. I don't want to get into this, but last time at Sa-Dhan conference, we had a trade union person and he created a huge scene over there. Harish Ravi. The speakers for this session are Mr. Udish Guldas, CEO, Microfinance, Mr. Prashant Rai, Chief Human Resource Officer, Spandana Spurti, Mr. Vishal Thakur, Head HR, Microfinance Business Starter Capital, Mr. Mrinal Sengupta, EVP Head HR and LD BFIL. And Miss Aditi Mittal, Vice President HR, Fusion Finance Limited. Over to you, lovely sir.
This is Saranti for a wonderful event, a planned event, of course. And to come to the God's own country is always exciting. And congratulations on 28 years of amazing journey. And out of this, I'm part for the last 20 years or so in various roles and responsibilities in my career. Thank you, wonderful panelists. I think you are making my job much easier. I don't restrict much. So, I mean, Prashant, 17 or 18 years ago, I was in your shows in the same office and HR head. And the way that things changed, it is just not about the employees, we call Gen X, Gen Z and all, but the customers also changed a lot. The technology also changed a lot. And this is a continuous improvement, and I mean, we have to live with it, we have to embrace. Like the new law has come, so we have to embrace it, there is no second choice. Having said that, the customer satisfaction in microfinance, because if you look at 15, 20 years ago, there was nobody, the organizing lenders in the States. But at the time, we were only the lenders, so obviously we used to pick the rest. So does our employees on the ground. They're treated like gods in some of the places because they're able to disburse money when they need it. But that the money availability from different sources also increased. In 2006, when you go back to Krishna district crisis and the Harvard case study of who killed Bhavani Manjula, if anybody has read, if not, please go ahead and read it again. The fundamental problems stated, they still remain the same. At the time, probably we were at 1,000 crore AUM across the country. Today, we might be at 3.5 lakh crores. At that time, our reach might be less, and today it is 7.5 crore families we reached out to, say, proudly. And with 3 lakh direct employment, there is indirect employment as well. Having said that, if you want to tell, because microfinance always been a relationship-based lending, we have to bridge the relationship with the customer. The organization which is having a very strong relationship model with the customer is able to thrive the so-called crisis far better than the industry standards. And that's the customer satisfaction, satisfied customer is only delivered the services through the satisfied employee. This is the biggest challenge between all of us. Luckily, among HR heads now, the balance is on these also. That is also, very renowned business head here, so that we can bring in some balance in understanding. Because HR can say that 8 hours is the workforce. Previous panel, HR had said that, but that's how business takes it. Right? We will get into the insights as well. Our mandate for the panelists that customer first, employee first, and of course, we starting with the working conditions. Yes, it all started with one small room microfinance with 16 to 20 registers to be written in those days. Now there is no manual register, there is no cash at all. Those days handling cash was the biggest risk. Today we also eliminated almost all, even collections also and majorly getting into the digital mode. The employees at that time used to live there, whatever conditions, hygiene and all these things. Now we have to move. Do we really need a branch? Do we really need a brick and mortar branch in the digital era? And do we really need the employee to be staying in our branches? How do we look at it? The working conditions. I will talk about, when we will discuss about the leave management and working hours little later. We will just come to the basic fundamental point on the branch location, the how the branch structure, how do we keep our employees intact, and how do we manage for the future. You can explain from your experiences, and you can envisage whatever for the industry also, because we envisage group mechanism for customers, but fortunately and unfortunately at industry level also, if you can follow that, that can be great. With this, I will start with Aditi, who is an empathetic HR leader, well known and whom I work with very closely. who has always been connected to the ground, Aditi, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Firstly, it's truly an honor to share the esteemed panelists. This is my first time, so please do excuse me. I'm the least experienced person in microfinance industry. Coming down to the infra, or what we call what is required or what is not required, I would see this as an investment rather than seeing as an expense. I know OpEx is the biggest thing that every organization has been talking about for the last 2 years. But if we see this as an investment, because these are the employees who start their day at 6 a.m. in the morning and their day at 11, it is very tough for them to do everything on their own. So, giving them that a setup, that environment where they can thrive and survive. Top three things that hit my head right now is, one is very important, is the safe work environment, safe workplace, and which Ritu also explained in our presentation. Time and break manager. These three things which are very, very critical, very, very important, and these three things are part of the infra. So by safe work environment, I mean where hygienic workplace is there. If we have a women's staff, of course, we need to take care of their basic necessity. By time, I mean timely salary getting paid. Time predictable leaves is something that can be given. Also, if we can get away with lengthy calls, those MIS which we have to keep sharing, which nobody is even looking at it. And also by quality manager, I mean empathetic manager. So these three things are very, very critical and very important for any branch team to do well and thrive in the organization. Thank you.
Thanks, a few very important points to take away. I'll come back to Runal. In his case, BFN today is one of the oldest organization and the institution which introduced microfinance in many of the parts of the country rather. Again, coming back to the same question, the relevance of the branch and also the living conditions of the employees. How do we manage? Because in olden days, we used to have we never used to employ the same employees in their native place. We used to have 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers radius, minimum distance kind of stuff. But all these days, within its technology, we don't need the military roads. So how do we handle this?
So, very crafting to all of you, very crafting. Thank you so very much for this opportunity. I have a very strong view. So, for me is, first thing, who are the members? They are basic education. They are coming to my class, and I'm class to them. Who we are very proud. Now, the kind of situation currently we are in is a time where we have to go back to the old model, and accept the old model, where there is staying together, eating together, and working together. That was the starting point of SKS and different the way it was equally. At the same time, the current model where group meetings are not happening. People are staying long in the field. So the time is actually expecting us to balance both. While we are at 26% in digital adoption as far as collection is concerned, but long. I am not in completely favor of against the beacon model. It should be there. But slowly, we should move towards a commercial place where I can give people a sense that there is a clear boundary of professional and personal. Currently, the infrastructure where they are living is basically there is no space. And that's where the next question coming in, that what we are expecting from the citizens. Because what they really want is space. Their expectation is space. And that
personal and professional space is not there. So moving into commercial, because what the direction of industry bank is also there, is moving towards a micro banking model. And when we are moving towards the micro banking model, it is not about micro loans. There are multiple products that can be sold. I see it as a big opportunity in terms of infrastructure and building that infrastructure towards future. Now coming back to the current situation. Current situation, yes, every organization wants a proper hygiene where people comes, at least they have a good sleep there. They have a place to stay. They have a hygienic washroom to use. That we have to see it from the point of view of how many loan clients are there. How many people against the loan clients who are actually we are putting in the branch, and whether the space of the infrastructure is suffice enough to accommodate this number of people. Health and hygiene is completely responsibility of the local leader, but at the same time we'll have to see the space and slowly move towards the commercial.
Understood. I think now the commercial area also will raise one more question, that whether we need to have a separate dormitory kind of a infrastructure for employees or not. I'll go to Prashant. Prashant, how do you see this perspective in terms of urban versus rural, or tier 2, tier 3 cities, whether we can have a differentiated strategy in terms of living environment for our branch employees per se?
Thanks, Rich. And thanks to Sa-Dhan for calling us for this program. So thank you very much. I'll just go back to the genesis about, how this whole concept about staying in the branches arise. You see, part of it is a lot to do with the need perspective. And I think somebody highlighted about concept about, the demography of the people who are coming to work with us, right? Somewhere down the line, there is a need aspect which is there, the fact that, we are paying them minimum wages, and, this comes as a benefit for them to stay. The other aspect is also about the risk mitigating aspect which is there. The reason why I say so is because many a times, we are dealing with a lot of cash, and that itself culminates into the fact that, if people are there in the branches, the cash is there, the people will protect that, right? Having said that, there's also a counterintuitive approach of looking at this whole dimension about staying in the branches. First and foremost, coming back from the business perspective, how the business model itself is changing now. And I think if you look at it, we started the conversation with AI, right? Talking about how that is intervening in our life and also in our working conditions which are there. And it is but natural that going forward, a lot of our models which are there, the business model which is there, will get really impacted by AI and automation. And also the flow of money that is happening, I think that itself will move into the digital aspect which is there. So the need which arose out of the fact that, we had to manage the cash which was there, now I think it is slowly getting into the digital space. So I don't know whether the relevance of having a branch per se, where people stay all together, would make sense for us, right? The other aspect is also the margins now are going to have a big implication, considering the fact that the code of wages will have an implication on the margins which are there, the NIM, it will get impacted, the NIM. In that such situation, I think for any organization, cost optimization becomes very critical. So whether we are going through the process of optimizing it through automation, the other aspect which remains as a big open area is to look into some of these infrastructural cost which is there. So there again, you have to see what works out for you as an organization. The third aspect which is there is also about your presence being felt. So many branches which are there today have their presence felt through the aspect about, just having a modular branches which are there, whereby people see that it is there, it exists, right? So that again plays a very important role in terms of your branding, in terms of how you attract talent as an organization. The fourth aspect is also the quality of talent that we're bringing into this enterprise. Now, if you look at earlier, we were having people who could at least read and write, and that was good enough for us to recruit them into our organization as loan officers. I think that dimension is changing quite drastically because on the UI UX front, we are changing and transforming a lot of our interventions through use of technology. And yet, if we do not transform the people who are there, who is getting into the organization, either through a build approach or either through a borrow approach or a buy approach, we will always be faltering in terms of the capability gaps which will be there. Now, if you have to bring in those set of people who are there with such capability, then obviously, the avenues have increased quite significantly. There is a secondary market of also something like what we call as the gig working environment, which is there. That is also going to make a big impact in terms of talent moving out. And I think somebody was discussing about Sa-Dhan report. You found that in that report, 60% of the people who actually moved out of this sector did not even come back to operate in Sa-Dhan. They went into some secondary sector which was there. So there is a dilemma which is there in terms of, in one side, whether we are giving convenience to people to stay there, or we are talking about dignity in terms of the overall approach of people working in our organization, right? And I think just by giving them an opportunity to stay in the branch and work in a branch would create that kind of a loyalty or that engagement. I don't think so. That is the approach that one could take. There are better ways of doing it.
Instead of mandatory, it can be optional.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now I'll go to the Tata Captain person, Vishal here. Thanks, Vishal, for joining us. For you, this question might be in a different perspective because you might be having a different offices in a place where the office sharing can be possible for microfinance as well. So you might be using it. We can hear from you and your perspective on this, the living conditions of the employees, basically.
So, talking from Tata Capital's perspective, we do not have any office, any branches accommodation. Instead, we compensated it by enhancing the salary in certain way, the cash based. And this thought keeps coming back to us, either by the employees or by the industry friends, that maybe that can help you to contain the attrition. We looked at, we almost went close to finalize a couple of branches to do this pilot. We also tried, if not accommodation, maybe food facility at branch could be helpful. And not only at this aspect, when we went into various investigations into various employee-related issues in a branch, what we realized is that the current set of employees, the current set of people, purely because of mobile and the cell phone technology, has become a lot private person than what they used to be. The concept of privacy, the concept of individuality is much stronger today, even in the remotest of rural India, than what it used to be in urban places. Today, people may not like to share an accommodation or stay in a place where they jointly stay together or eat the same food for all of them, even at the cost of some convenience. They like to have their own choices. They like to have their own freedom of staying separately with certain inconvenience. But at least what our takeaway was that it is not going to help us in attrition management for sure. So that's why for 6 years in this business, we do not have a single branch which provides accommodation or food. And with every passing years, I think we are getting more and more confident that that's an investment we can avoid. On the other side, branch conditions, I still feel that needs to be strengthened a little better. Now, to match the rural infrastructure of past, these branches used to be, non-air conditioned branches with low facility branches, may not have any power backup and all those kind of branches. But all air conditioning, the style of living of, breathing and walking in air condition and having an uninterrupted power supply has reached to rural India also. If our branches do not offer that becomes a challenge. Having said that, if you want to improve the branch condition, how much is the usage of branch? If you see, the branches are largely used considering the cash collection is on decline from the past references. The branches are largely best used for the morning meetings. Evening meetings perhaps can be technology supported or can be looked at a different way. So then comes the second component. If you want to improve the branch conditions, the usage of branch is limited. In those situations, financiers who have other products like let's talk about Tata Capital itself, other than investing in the microfinance sector, micro housing finance is also reaching to those geography. A 2-year loan is reaching to those geography, and maybe gold loan also. And having a bunch of products to offer to customers, maybe those branches can become better in terms of infrastructure as well as can give some ROI to the consumers.
Thanks, Vishal. This is a very different perspective from the monologue thinking on in terms of stay and work together towards only working condition, and still you are able to manage and build a large scale portfolio. I think this is also a wonderful case study if somebody want to explore this model. Now I'll come to these points. One is, yes, as a business leaders, we always wanted our employees to be under our control, but without branch, what time they are coming, what they are coming, at what time they are coming to reporting to branch, fundamentally asking why they have to come to the branch is more. They can directly go to customers. Say, today we are talking about counting 8 hours a day or 9 hours a day. Instead of that half an hour, 40 minutes, they can report from the first village itself. You can save another half an hour in a day. So, one point. Number two, the business perspective into the 4 years I've mentioned about a few points. What's the business perspective? How do we balance this? Or how do we have a strategy in various geographies? In one state to state it may differ, urban to rural it may differ, product to product it may differ. Your perspective, Sudesh.
Thank you, Renu sir. That's a very relevant question. I'm very much mindful that I'm the only old one. Maybe I'm the only business guy sitting in all these and it's professionals. So I'm mindful about it. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you very much, Sa-Dhan team, for having me here. So a couple of things. Why we had this accommodation facility in branches. This is something when we started microfinance, and this is all copied from Bangladesh to India. People who started microfinance already here. I think it was a risk mitigation point. I think somebody already touched upon that used to have cash in the branch. For the next day disbursement, used to collect, withdraw money, keep it in branch, so that next day, early morning, they can go and disburse loan. So they need some security. So I think that could have been the reason they had this culture of staying facility in the branch. As far as Muthoot is concerned, we started microfinance in 2010. And from the day one, we have not provided any accommodation facilities in the branches. All our 1,672 branches are in commercial places, having good visibility and good accessibility. So we mitigated this risk, saying that we had our FinCo branches. We used to disburse money throughout our branches. We don't need to keep cash in the branches. And we drive a lot of our business through digital. Even I can probably say that our collection is almost 50% of collection is digital. So on the security aspect also, they don't need to go and travel with foreign places and deposit money. So that risk is mitigated a lot by the digital mode. The other aspect is that when somebody joins any organization, they always want to associate with that brand. And the brand and culture, the first impression is always infrastructure. The other things, the way you treat them, the way the packages, compensation, these are all, unless they complete equity, they won't get salary. So that satisfaction level will come at a late bit. But the first day when they're coming into an office with having a proper infrastructure, or proper hygiene facilities, that gives a long-lasting impression. So that is also we come hailing from a large business group. We wanted to create that visibility that any employee or any customer walking into our place, they should see a proper professional managed organization rather than they're coming into any residence and working from that place. So that is one more thing.
The one more risk mitigation or a risk for this giving accommodation is that, especially in the north and eastern part of the country, there is a risk mitigation that they don't allow people to work in the same village because they used to manipulate documents, they used to collude with the leaders and ringleaders, and they used to do all this malfunction. So there is a risk policy that we only give appointment 40 kilometers or 60 kilometers away from where they live. So in that situation, any person coming in, they need an accommodation facility because these are all freshers coming out of maybe college or a school. They don't have any money to come and invest taking a rented premises and start working from that. Because in microfinance, the major challenge is the infant attrition. The first 3 months, the attrition is the major concern. So anybody who joins and we are asking me to go and work 60 kilometers away and we don't have an accommodation facility or a food facility, there is high chance that you will get demotivated and this infant attrition will go high. So we have this flexibility that in those areas we are providing an accommodation, but not in the branch. So within 1 kilometer radius or a 500 meters radius, we take a house and we provide accommodation so that anybody who joins outside that places, the accommodation is ensured from the day one onwards. So these are, I think, basic things we follow at Muthu, and for us it's working pretty well.
Thanks, Satish. I think pretty well summarized by the panelists that there can be the orthodox model to the hybrid model to the no-stay model. Everything can coexist in this, but however, the strategy have to be by each organization taking account depending on the need of the employees rather than taking a corporate rule per se. I think these are wonderful takeaways on the living conditions or the working conditions in the branch. Now I'll just move into the employee grievance redress. Obviously, there are a lot of grievances. Many of them are not spoken, many of them are not heard, and many of them are not being solved even after hearing them. Vishal, I will start with you first. That how at your organization and how you envisage for the industry for the future, that how do we minimize proactively the grievance related issues for the employees, and what kind of actions can be taken, and how do we see, as a employee report suggested, that non-monetary based attrition is more than 60-70%. So obviously this part I think could even have an amazing positive impact in reducing the attrition parts. Your take on this.
When we talk about the grievances, amongst all the grievances we get, a major chunk of grievances are from the employees who were terminated or being absconding at work. And they want us to, and someday they appear from their absconding, and then they demand leaving letters or at least, their name to be cleared from employment bureaus so that their future employment is not affected. This does not come from the cases who have done financial fraud much, or does not come from the cases who resigned and left for some reasons. And a few cases for fraud also. Thing is that at times these employees do not understand what they are doing is incorrect. They don't want to do something incorrect, but they don't understand what they are doing is incorrect. And they ended up doing something which is observed, and the services have to be terminated, but they need a kind of clean exit so that their future employability is not affected. Or sometimes they get absconded, and there are different stories in every case. Somebody suddenly went off the grid for certain personal reasons, certain accidental situations, certain social political situations, various reasons, and they come back one day claiming that I have not done any financial damage to organization and I was not intentionally bad and I had a situation. So can you not give me the clearance? And all those grievances these days in certain portions of the country are also being supported by certain unauthorized so-called unions, social media recreations and escalations of the issue. And when I sit back and reflect on that, especially as a neutral party, there is a merit in those cases, largely from the point of view their future employability should not be affected. and they should be given a chance to mature from the mindset with which they committed that error. But there is no single set of formula. As of now, we are doing case to case to change the decision or to change the status in employment bureau for all those cases. But with every case, we also fear that what it is, this creates a precedence, or what if our judgments are incorrect in giving this leniency to the person. So that is what my take on.
Thanks, Vishal. I did managing one of the largest workforce in this industry, one of the largest. The grievances could be everyday work for you. So, various strands. It can be on the right for superiors, overhandling, pressure, working on weekends, working on late hours, early hours. It can be anything, and salary related, TA related, DA related. All these things in the day-to-day, you and your team are equipped in terms of handling this.
As a why do I say that? Because there are two parts. One is financial, another is non-financial. So when it comes to financial part, it is dealt differently. Not kind of address frauds, financial part. We have to immediately address how we are addressing. We have the new technology which is on getting on board as an HR system. We are getting moving now ahead, and this HR system is going to give us AI technology. Is going to give us the freedom to understand what he's going through, and there is a mental well-being checkup that he's going to have immediately addressed the concern, along with an application which is going to give him an approximate understanding that if he is living in 5 days' time, how much he's going to lose from financial point of view. And we check with the people, with the constant conversation, whether we are addressing to the right people or there is some kind of disciplinary, financial disciplinary action already against his name. Then we don't waste time. So it's a complex mechanism. We are also evolving this particular thing. Slowly together, because managing 40,000 employees in this state, it's not easy. But of course, technology and AI is going to give us future solution. I'm very, very positive.
Well, thanks, Bill. I think managing 40,000 people with so many unspoken words being heard is not a joke. And why the postmortem, the pediatrician call, the exit interview is a postmortem call, why the issue has been escalated to there. I think it's a combined aspect. Udish, if you can add, because you are also certified as a great place to work, probably these grievance key addresser, you could be on a very proactive note how to reduce these instances rather than escalating them.
Sure, I think it's a low grievance. I believe it's a part and parcel of every organization. But the important question here is that are they safe enough to talk about them? Whether they are targeted if they give some information directly to grievance, and because these people are managed by the hierarchies is very lengthy. There are area managers, digital managers, you call it, everybody is there in the hierarchy. So it is to create different ways and means and channels to communicate to the head office and inform what exactly they are going through. So sir has already talked about technology. We get those very small adjustments in HRMS that there is in our system. There is like what is your mood type? There is 5 options given. I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm not happy, thing. So it's like a signal. Then anybody sitting in the central office can contact that person and ask what is going through, why you are sad, why you are not satisfactory. Because then he might open up. So these are something I think we can do as a soft actions to make sure that they are open up and give their suggestions or feedback or grievance freely. So we in our office we do something called communication meet. So most of the time there is since in microfinance the hierarchy is so very lengthy, there are problem that communication break will happen. Whatever we envisage at the head office, while it goes down to the field office, sometimes the assets will lose.
So what we do that we do this communication meet like all the CHROs and the department heads will travel down to regional offices or regional places and we'll communicate directly to the employers, field employer without the presence of their leaders. So we go to them, we speak to the relationship officer, branch managers, credit officer, and it's a two-way communication. We tell them what is the organization requires, what is where we stand, what is our number. Then we'll ask, what is your feedback, what you are going through, what new addition you require, are you having any problems? So this is something. Then we have a lot of female employees now. At least now it's more than 25% of field employees are female. So their grievances are totally different. It may not be business related, it can be psychological also. So we have provided psychology officers in every street. So there is a number we have provided, they can talk to the psychologist and get the solutions. And for female employees, we have dedicated numbers available. Those will be attended by female employees, senior female employees at the head offices. So I think these are something, as an organization, we make sure that the communication is open and free. And one more thing, we make sure that is empathetically handled at speed. So any solution given without speed, it's not a solution. That's
Go back to I think there are two important points. 25% of the field force is female. I think it's a big lesson for all of us in this room. Unless until we look at the women workforce for us, I think today we talk about 100% of customers are women. Unfortunately, our employees are not even in double digit. But probably the first organization to speak this kind of a number. We congratulate Udisha, and I think the proactive number, the seniors and CXOs traveling to field is something which is in need of the hour in microfinance. Aditi, I'll come to you on this aspect. I think tomorrow morning you are visiting some of the branches again. So like this, what are the innovative things we all can adopt in terms of proactively handling the grievances before they get into the heads of the employees, and which obviously will lead to their peace?
Thank you for that question. So, I second the thought that one of our panelists said that, exit interviews is post-damage control. It is very important to be proactive in approach, and at Fusion or even at my previous stints, what we have done is we do surveys, regular surveys, per surveys that helps us check in on every individual till the last mile and understand that we do it every month. So their technology plays a very important role, and whatever the outcome is, we have these zonal committees where we understand what the problems are and we resolve them. And it is a cross collaboration, cross teams who participate in that, and every person in that committee picks up one problem and they solve for it. It's not one HR problem, it is not one business problem, it is an organization problem, and we all collaborate together. So that's one thing that we've been doing with the help of technology. Also, we have grievance redressal mechanism in our organization where we have one technology plays an important role here also, where people can record their problems. They can call at any hour and the problem, their issues get recorded, and somebody, whoever joins next day in the morning, they pick up those things and answer that. Through our HRM system, people are adding their problems in the ticketing system. It goes directly to the right person in the organization. Usually, what I have experienced personally is that an employee becomes a ping pong ball in the organization. This person is reaching to one person, he says, this is not my problem, you reach out to the other one. But through a ticketing system, it really helps the person with the problem to reach the right person. So that's one thing technology has been helping. Also, we have a team which is not part of the HR and business. There they receive, it's a help desk where employee reaches out to that person and shares their problem. But on a daily basis, we get these concerns, these problems, and we solve it within the tact that we have. So technology has really helped us, and we really genuinely want to understand our employees. And in my personal experience, sitting in an HO or corporate office and designing frameworks and policy will help to an extent, but once you reach the branch, you understand genuinely if those policies and those SOPs are genuinely working for your employees. So that really helps. And it has really helped me understand my people when I visit very frequently in the branches. And Harisha sir would know that when we acquired a Sa-Dhan based company in my previous stint, I was very, very I was not very sure how I'll be able to handle our employee grievances because they're a real language barrier. But if you genuinely want to understand the problem in one or two conversation, you can easily make out what they're trying to say and you can solve for it. So reaching out to branches, meeting people really has helped me understand pulse in the field. Thank you.
Amazing point, Sadhgi. I think that's how the proactiveness. These are one biggest problem in our leadership trainings used to be the way we build our careers and the way we climb the ladders. Two things generally have. One is our belt buckle started tilting towards the soil, left than rather. And our ears stop working because we don't hear to anybody because we think we know everything. But I think these leaders are telling that we are very open to listen to the branch and our the every hierarchy of the employees. I think probably the best. Prashant, quickly on the grievance fairness, and especially in the stress times. When in the stress times, how do you handle grievances?
So I think one of the most important thing for an organization to do, I personally feel, is exhibit towards his employees whether you are a listening organization or not. And Rishathan, you said it well that and for that you may have tremendous amount of mechanisms or tools or technology that you may have. Yet if it is not being exhibited by the leadership and by and large the critical people who are there in the organization, that we are ready to listen to you. I think the whole essence of grievance will end there. So the first important thing for us is in our organization, at least what we have done is that we have made sure that there are avenues through which you can reach out to us in any way, whether it is through calling through an IVR call or writing to us, or we have something called a Sa-Dhan number. You want to talk to somebody there, you can just call up there. So the avenues have been created. But the level above that, what we have done is, we have gone ahead to basically analyze what are the calls that are coming in from, and what are the kind of grievances that are coming. And I think I have to categorize them. One of those aspects about this is a lot about frustration, which is coming because of the work-related aspect which are in and around you. And when I say that, we all know very well that microfinance is not an easy, place to work in, whether it be, the field-related aspect which are there, right? It's not a typical corporate environment which is there. And there, if you have to connect with those individuals, it is not about, what kind of work is happening, what are the solutions that we can provide you. It is just pure hearing that individual, what that individual has to say. And to some extent, you are able to resolve some of these issues by just listening to that individual and giving him the comfort that as an organization, we are there with you, And that's all that the individual on the other side is seeking, because the manager who is there, report to whom that individual is reporting is not listening to that individual. That individual is only asking about targets, it's only asking about, what the numbers are, right? But there are problems which are there. The second thing where I think HR has to play a very important role as a steward in this whole, aspect is about standing up for some of these causes which are there. Some you would be successful, but there are many where you may not be successful because there is something called an occupational hazard which is there. A typical example would be, in terms of working at odd hours for that matter, right? You may try level best, but I say right here today itself, the grievance which comes out of that is something which, because of the design of the industry that is there, you may not be able to resolve that. But however, for example, leave, it is something where you can always play a very important role to say that somebody is going for a leave because of some important reason what is there. Can we escalate that? Can we have a discussion with the manager there? Right? Can we talk to at least the CBOs who are there, give them an understanding why that person needs to be. So accountability plays a very important role for a lot of us in the fraternity to take action and be a spokesperson for the employees who are there. And I think that's the role that one has to play.
Yeah, thanks, Prashant. I think every leader has said one thing, that first of all, please be empathetic to listen to the grievances first, then you can resolve one by one. Some grievances may not be resolved. It may not be possible to resolve, but however, listening to them empathetically will almost as good as resolving it. So before we wrapping up, one point is still there on the organization culture. how do we build a perfect organization culture in microfinance segment? But it can be a different problem for Vishal because you're part of like Mrunal also, where they're part of a large organization like a bank. Then you are a shop-in-shop concept, and you have to build a culture. Culture is always like a floating iceberg, which is seen from outside is very limited, but it is, underneath is too much, which is not documentable, which is not talkable much, but it can be felt by the employees who are working in this organization. 1 minute each on the culture building, starting from Udish.
I think in microfinance culture, it has to be demonstrated by the leaders. It is very, very important. I always say this in microfinance, people are not looking down or looking straight. They are always looking up. They're always looking at what my manager is doing, what my area manager is doing, what my COO is doing. They only follow that. They don't create culture themselves. So it has to be demonstrated by the leaders. So in our organization, there are 5 principles we work on as part of the culture. One is everything is customer centric, integrity, accountability, respect for people, and responsible lending. This is the culture which we learned when we joined Muthoot, and the promoters, visionaries had told that with this principle you need to work, whatever you do, make sure that this is being followed. So we are following that. So we ensure that we demonstrate and we showing our work so that people underneath us or people who are reporting us that follow that, and that will become the culture of the organization.
Thanks, Pradhan. Core principles and cultures, I think, are the positive. Now, it's completely senior leaders' responsibility. Now, people are very intrigued. Now, what I say and what I do, we immediately get it. And I joined as a manager in a branch, and very next day, with the training program I've been given, we are customer centric, we do this, that, 1, 2, 3, 4. And suddenly the branch actually highlighted fraud. To internal audit, immediately he gets it. So, it's not easy. At the same time, it is also very, very highly responsible part of the senior management. And what we are communicating, whether it is getting driven in behavior by each and every leader in the branch. And that's where we can build up. We are no way in the half a month let me accept. And but
it's a journey always. Like as one of my professors said in business school, that organization is nothing but a information passing entity. If we can pass the information from top to bottom or bottom to top without any distractions, I think that's the perfect organization. So Prashant, your take on this.
I think organization culture is something that I'm very excited and passionate about, and I always perceive this organization culture as like a plane. Taking a plane, the organization as a plane, and I feel the CEO of the organization is a pilot. The CFO is actually a co-pilot, and the CHRO is the navigator. And I think the CEO has the throttle in him. He has the whole engine in his hand, and he's the one who's driving it. The CEO is looking into the altimeter and trying to find out where we are, whether we are on the right side or not. But I think the CHRO has a big role to play as a navigator, telling where we are going to head. And I think a lot about culture is a factor about, what kind of role I think the CHROs who are sitting here in this organization, in this conference, also has to play is to kind of give that navigator view to say that this is where we need to go and this is how we need to reach there. And obviously that culminates in the form of a behavior which is being showcased by I think everybody in the organization. And I think I agree with what Minal said. These things are sensed very quickly by the employees that is there. We may have thousands of letters that we write, we may have town halls where we speak, but I think a lot of that essence is felt when people interact with you on a one-to-one, and you get a lot of sense about that. So I think if we are true to ourselves and to our mission, I think that itself sets the culture right.
CHRO is just not at the head of human force, but also the owner of the culture. That's what I can say. Guys, let me shut from your side.
So, 20 years in Tata Group, and one thing I understood is that in a Conclave audit, you have to be able to understand as if you are a member of a joint family. just the decision between you and your parents cannot be the guiding force. You have to consult the larger family, and that's how we are running all the other organizations in the group, all the other businesses in the group, and we are very much committed to running that way. That makes it a little bit slow, but that's what we are doing.
Okay, just start. You implemented Tata Group is also an inspiration for so many organizations in our country for so many years. Aditi, your last comment from your side.
Thank you. I strongly believe in that the culture is not driven in downwards. It is when how employees are getting treated in the organization, how mistakes are tackled, how people are heard, how transparently we are able to communicate. These are the few points that I believe in, defines culture. And it is not an individual or an individual department responsibility. It is an organization who has to play a role, and every individual need to participate. As I said earlier also, there is an HR writing design frameworks and SOP, but at the end of the day, managers have to drive it. And if everybody is aligned to one thought, one goal, I think that is where the culture will flow smoothly. If people are disaligned, then it will be too difficult for any individual, any organization, or any department to drive any culture in any form.
Great points. I think this industry has seen ups and downs from 2005 onwards till date. I think fortunately we are at the right place now after our learnings. Hopefully we will not commit the mistakes what we did in our if you ask me what are the crises, people say that there is actually a 2G problem. Either it can be God or government related problem. But I also believe that there are many problems we created for our own self because of our own competition, over lending, over leveraging, the speed and greed of the growth, and all these things are there. But at the end of the day, the CHRO roles also getting very important, not just because of the wage codes, but also the culture. And also if you want to deliver a proper business, it is only through the proper human resource that is being owned and culture by the CHROs. Like this, all the CHROs and the human resource professionals take a lead role in your organizations, own the culture, deliver this amazing business. I think we are just at 3.5 lakh crore. Another 5 years, we need to reach 10 lakh crore and more. I mean, we are just hardly at 7 crore families as of now. We have to reach at least double the number of the families across the country. And thank you, Sa-Dhan, and thank you, panelists, for amazing insights. Thank you so much.
And all our esteemed panelists, I would now request Mr. George Thomas, CEO, ESUP Cooperative, to come on stage and show us our gratitude on behalf of Sa-Dhan to all the esteemed panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll start with Mr. Harish Raghu. He's a sector expert and very, very dear and near to Sa-Dhan. Mr. Udish Ullas, CEO, Microfinance. Mr. Prashant Rai. Mr. Prashant Rai, Chief Human Resource Officer, Skandana. Mr. Vishal Thakur, Head HR Microfinance Business Tata Capital. Mr. Mrinal Shengupto, EVP, Head HR and L&D PFIL. Ms. Aditi Mittal, Vice President, HR, Fusion Finance Limited.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Wait.
At one point this time, Sa-Dhan is having 3 awards. The one being the most important, the Ela Band Award, where we are awarding the institutions who is the best women-friendly institution. So here we get to know that many institutions are very, very women-friendly. So all of you, please request you to join, submit the application forms, and there will be a transparent process. We will be sharing the name of our juries also, jury members also. You can apply and we will be, it would be an honor to award all of you. And there is a wash award, and this year we are introducing a housing award as well. So all of you, please join the Sa-Dhan National Conference. Sustainability is the foundation upon which resilient organizations are built. And the fireside chat, staff capacity building in microfinance. There will be a lead presentation by Mr. Kartik Ramadas from Sa-Dhan.
Okay, everyone. So I just take 2-3 minutes. This is a context setting with this the staff capacity building in microfinance. So when you look at the key challenges, so these are based on our field observations. So as you know, Sa-Dhan as SRO, we regularly visit members at different parts of the country. So these are the observations that we have based on our visits and interaction with members. So some of the key challenges that many members say is, since the staff attrition levels are very high, they find it very difficult to recruit staff timely and then train them and place them. So this process, since they have very short time for replacing or employing staff, so this training becomes a bit difficult. To give a lot of attention for training becomes difficult. And still we find some institutions, they still follow a traditional training pedagogy. They still have a one-day induction training, and after that there is not much fresher training is happening for the staff on a regular basis. So some institutions we see lack of continuous regular trainings for the staff, especially fresher trainings. And even if trainings are done, mostly it is on product or the process of what the institution is following. But then we see, there's less focus with respect to soft skills, client engagement, risk awareness, code of conduct. So these things, I think the focus is a bit less compared to, the product and process. Most of the focus is mostly on, product and process compared to this. And small and mid-sized institutions, they also feel, the cost, especially involved in having dedicated training and development team is also relatively higher for them. So how do they manage that? That is a challenge for them. And also, when we talk about training, there is a diverse training need, from the field staff to the CHRO level, different thematic teams are there. So how do you plan training for the diverse group of staff? So that again, is a very challenging thing that MFIs face. With respect to key capability gaps, so as you are aware, every time when we have interactions, many members share that income assessment of borrowers is one area where still a lot of work needs to be done. And also now, as you're aware, many MFIs are expanding their non-qualifying book. Especially this year and next 2 years, I think the growth in non-qualifying book will be much higher compared to the qualifying portfolio. So in that case, how do you have the training architecture to train new products, new processes? So how do you align with that? That again is a gap which is there. And also as I mentioned earlier, staff are mostly trained on products and processes. So when there is stress in a particular area, when there are issues with there to be payments, when there are a lot of queries, objection from clients, so that there is a bit of gap with respect to situation of staff with respect to objection handling, dealing clients when there is stress. So this is again one area you find there is a capability gap. And with staff with respect to the higher level, like branch manager and above. So that levels we find a lot of gaps with respect to soft skills, especially motivation, leadership, team building, problem solving. So these areas, even many MFIs also tell us that they require some support in these areas for training their staff. And one more thing is when we usually go to field in branches, we find when you interact with staff, basics of RBI guidelines and basics of SRO code of conduct, and also the basics of microfinance as well. Just like an example, when fact sheets were introduced. So we went to our MFI and MFI branch manager and asked if, like the fraction is already there. He mentioned all inclusive interest rate and interest rate. So just asking them what is this all inclusive interest rate that they were giving to the borrower. So he was not able to explain what it is, like what components constitute that. So when a branch manager is not able to explain to us, then we can understand how they will be able to explain to the borrower. So there again we feel gaps which are there presently. From Sa-Dhan side, we have been taking a lot of initiatives with respect to staff capacity building is concerned. Like we have come up with an certification program along with IIBF for field staff of MFIs. So this is an online training. I'll share the details of the upcoming slides. We also have executive development programs we organize in collaboration with NIBM. So we have been doing this on an annual basis. Even with IIM, like 2-3 years back, we have jointly done a program for MFI staff. We also regularly collaborate with NABARD in organizing programs for staff. And as you know, as Ritu was telling, through a Sa-Dhan National Conference, it is an excellent platform where a lot of capacity building happens for senior level MFI officials, and we regularly organize webinars, and also we at the state level we organize divisional manager, area manager level situation programs. That are something we do regularly too. And lastly, for small MFIs, recently we have started a project along with NABARD. It is MFI accelerated program, where around 20 plus MFIs we be closely working with them, handholding them, providing training to enhance their capacities on different thematic areas. So like this, different MFIs, we have different approaches for capacity building. This is the IVF thing I was telling about. So, it is an MCQ model, and it's an online model, like anyone can register and take. There is an examination fee is there. So this we request members if they can encourage the staff to take this. Finally, with respect to best practices, of late we see a lot of MFIs using AI-driven capacity building interventions. Chatbots are being used by few MFIs. Mobile-based micro-learning modules, YouTube videos are regularly being used for sensitization of the borrowers. But also many institutions are having tie-ups with external training institutes. Like they are also tying up with B schools for leadership training and EDPs, executive programs. And one more approach we see of late is rather not just stopping with training, approach of mentoring and coaching. So how can area managers, division managers act as coaches for the field teams? So that is also one approach we see evolving right now. And we also have few institutions in the annual report. They also mention they quantify training. What is the average training hours per employee in their organization? So these things will also help us to compare institutions, like how much effort is being put in training of these staff. So I just stop with that. I request the moderator and speakers to kindly come forward here. I will request Dr. Sarvaj Pot, Deputy Director Sa-Dhan. I request Ajit Kumar sir, MD and CEO Dhanlakshmi Bank, to kindly join us with the rise. I request Mr. Manoj Pasanga, MD designate Asirvad Microfinance, to kindly join us with us. Over to Mr. Watkot.
I got wonderful your discussions over here. So one is from microfinance sector and another one is from the banking sector. We can also learn a lot of things from the banking sector. So I'm really very happy and also very interested to have a discussion with this book. My name is Shweta, I work with students. My name is Shweta, and I work with Sa-Dhan, and I look after the sector development side, where you larger policy and other things are there. So it's up to you to have 2 seconds. One is your association capacity, where we develop the sector. Other one is your SR, right, where we monitor the sector. This is the basic the big chunk of the work itself. One of the things what we are seeing over the period of time that there were employee graduates. We go to the field very regular and we go to the field, talk to bottom everyone who understand what's the requirement. One of the things we could understand that those graduates of the human resources, not everyone, then we couldn't have really grown to CAGR of last 5 years is around 7 to 8%, we couldn't have. But still there was that. So when we started digging this one, we let us agree with this one. This is where we can discuss all these things. This deep-rooted problem is also with us. When we are talking about this impact, these reservations, we actually taken them for granted. Let us agree on that one. Where will be these people, these K-12 pass, they will be getting the job. Still we hear from the senior people. Where will they get the job? We are giving them 20,000, 15,000, 20,000. It's very good for them. Eventually it's good for them. Now we started from there. Now the job of market has opened. Now we are facing the problem, the lack of it. Madam Gafani, you are not giving us, there are other opportunities, but there is also the statistics which my colleague has already quoted that 60% of the people who are not in the job, they don't have any job, but they are not coming. So this is a total work of us. Now we have started talking about what to do. There is no other way but to discuss about that. Now there are two things. One is from the employee side. Another one is also from the client side. We are aware, and all of us, we are aware that yes, we always see that microfinance institutions are doing this, microfinance institutions are doing that, but still we are growing. It means we have our market. But the other side also, we also see there's a risk of the loan officers in the market. We have seen that some of the incidents happened where they have been killed. So it is also there. So the situation is very gloomy. We have started working on it. We have done a study, that we have developed a code of conduct. Now we want to understand what impact also make a kind of, reporting mechanism or something. But at the end of the day, what matters is also the capacity of the people, capacity of the institution. So today we will be discussing a bit about the capacity. The first, I want to start from that. Our moderator was asking a very interesting question that how to ensure them to stay. I'd start from there because we are seeing that a lot of your inherent dissatisfaction is there. So how to keep them in that first? My first question will be to Mr. Ajit Kumar, that do you see the same thing in the backlog patrician nowadays in the changing situation? And if it is there, how will you keep them? What are the things you do that they are there in the back? Let us start from home.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me here. Yes, banks do face attrition, and it has the attrition rate has increased over the years. Unlike earlier time where bank was considered as a very safe job, we are primarily dealing with the Gen Zs, people who have born between 1997 to 2012 living. So I think this group, when I found in my earlier organization as well as in my current organization, bit restless, they are highly confident, they don't have any fear, their parents are rich. So they only take much higher risk than the usual kind of employees that we see in banks, the generation that we are, or the next generation. I think it's quite different with in banking sector, especially certain sectors of banks vary. It's not all banks. Public sector banks, attrition rate might be lower. The traditional private sector banks also, the attrition rate might be lower. But in new generation banks, the attrition rate is quite high. It has even gone
the 40%, 50% is settled back. And now this really come down because of the military has intervened there. Given some ways to ensure that people who join the bank, right, to the extent possible, that they retain maybe through capacity building or by having the best of engagement exercises that we can do so that the employees are rated. But take any bank, I would say, even the largest in the country, SBI, the maximum attrition happened in the first 5 years. If the employee continues for the first 5 years, it is almost certain that they will retain in the organization. Maybe at a very senior level, few might off, but the majority will continue in the organization. So this is for almost what
Uh, One of the things, very important for us is the communication for microfinance sector. How to deal with the client. And these people, they are the people we deal with, they are extremely sensitive about the words and everything. In your banking fraternity, do you also teach this communication? And if it is there, what other things do you teach them?
Yeah, so what I as well as banks starting to fill in, there's a whole lot of difference. Regularly, there was modestly say that compared to banks, it's much because you are taking care of the people who have been accepted or excluded from the finance body, and without empowering those chief officers or people who are directly involved in these activities, I think it cannot be can never be a success. Yes, banks always face challenges like MFIs, especially during lending. There are times for banks because depending on the terrain, depending on the industry, as the earlier moderation and she was saying, the 2Gs, yes. Banks also got affected because of the governments because of the orders that have come. Many banks have been affected because we are playing our part for the upliftment of the biggest of the biggest sections by indirectly funding MFIs, NBFCs, or through fintech companies. But when the industry goes bad, it affects directly because there's nothing there, not much we can do when something goes bad. So, unlike that normal lending back that it is secured, there is some fallback mechanism is there, and to the extent, and that one reason why the banking system we get the lowest the average. You also the banking system is around 1.8 and then we 0.5. So I think it has never been so low in the banking system. So one reason and can be compared to the kind of lending that mobile do. I really don't think it's a really job for the officers, people who are working in the field, and especially the risk associated with they are working in a situation wherein always there's tremendous pressure. They have got business targets. They have to take care of the customer communication. You mentioned about the customer communication. Then they have to go to be fully compliant with the regulatory expectations, and they have to taking upon the personal safety kind of happenings. Because mentioning free attacks, serious attacks. So I think working in such a situation, the communication part, I think the soft skills, just like demify banks also do. Yes, we give training to our employees on soft skill areas. But the major area of communication is training banks or capacity building is on domain knowledge and other areas. But because the kind of candidates that we take is some level of communication skills would be there for them, and they understand it. I don't think that all people, but the majority, some level of one or two courses to take care of the requirement, because they are going into the field of comparatively very little or less compared to the mobile, where as Mr. Manoj was saying that from the early morning they have to work elections, because at the end of the day their performance, the mobile officer's performance is basically all it is disbursement and collections. Though it's not exactly right to say, in past we can depend on outsourced, with partners for collection. There are a lot of advantages for banks. So I think communication also, I think is much different both in unified and banks. And I think much more genuine communication skills have to be when they are interacting directly with the very difficult kind of, I suppose difficult mean, we have very difficult banks. It's not like many customers.
Thank you, Ajit. For microfinance, possibility is not the soft skill, it is the hard skill. It's really means we need to learn it, and with practice we have to shine also. I will stop to you, right, on the transparency side. So we were discussing from the top to bottom, at bottom to top. Every time we have to be very transparent. The information has to be going down and information has to be going up.
So in capacity building, what kind of things do you think that we should include to make it sure? One is informing them. This is the process. But it should show them possibly in many cases this process doesn't work. In that case, what do they do? How do you ensure that the process, the flow of information, top to bottom and bottom to up, is really working on the ground?
So one aspect I agree with regards to Gen Z is big smarter than what they used to be. Fact is, we got to explain to them when we say, why do we have a 3-lender rule? It's not enough to say that 3 lenders, that's what it is. 2 lakh rupees as maximum indebtedness, that's what it is. It's not enough to say a 50% FOIA and 12,500 rupees. It's not enough to say it's either this way or a highway. It's very critical for us to explain to them why we have certain rules, why we have certain practices, and they understand. Much like how parenting those days was a whack in your back. I think both of us would have probably been used to that. A stick, and then it was corrected. But now I don't think any of us, Mr. G. Jones, agreeing with me. Any of us can recollect, and Mr. Thomas over there. I don't think any of us as parents has ever taken a stick as far as children are concerned. Forget the stick, we wouldn't have even shouted at them. Fact remains, the children understand it better now. Fact remains that our newly onboarded people, the frontline loan officers, understand. So why do we still have either my way or the high kind of a training? In the training that I'm talking about, if it is done in the mode that I already spoke to you about, if it is done for a minimum period, like I already spoke to you about, if it is clearly explaining why we are doing certain things, as far as compliance is concerned, as far as regulations are concerned, as far as practices are concerned, why is it important to go and meet the customer in the morning? Why not at 11:30? Why not at 12 o'clock? We've got to explain that the customer is not going to be there. We're going to explain the customer. So if you would explain and then do it, I think it's important. And that can happen only through capacity building.
Right. Very important point. So nowadays we are not talking only about transparency. We are talking about the clarity. So in the capacity building also, and also in the process of your information flow, one of the things possibly you have to keep in mind is capacity building by also adding the clarity. That why are we doing this one? It's a very good point. Thank you very much for this one. And then I would come to the next discussion. Next level of discussion. I don't know how much time do we have. 5 minutes open. So the last thing I would ask you, we do the capacity building, everything, whatever possible for us. The small institution, they try their level based whatever money they do have. Bigger institution, very relatively elaborated one. One thing over the period of time, we are seeing that there are kind of angst, there is kind of, repercussion coming from the forward side as well. So, in the last 30 years of my experience, I didn't see this one. I'm saying it for the last 4-5 years, I'm seeing this one. Do you think that are we not really doing much training on how to handle customer?
I think I already mentioned that. We just are not doing enough as far as how to deal with customers, and I've already told you that. I think that's a continuous process. As long as we look at the training function as a support function, we'll continue to fail. If you're going to look at a training function as a strategic business function, as a strategic decision to how to run a business, then you'll find ways and means to come out with case studies, to explain, to train our field staff as to how to deal with customers. Today, the customers who are interacting with our loan officers probably have been borrowing from our institutions much before the loan officer was born. So in that scenario, it's important to explain to the loan officers how to deal with those customers. So as opposed to saying, sir, to aage abhi, sir, to abhi chale gaya abhi,
looking at that particular officer as God, the sir has to now look at Amma as in seriously, refer to her as a person who knows stuff and do the same thing. Those trainings can happen only when we start looking at the training function as a very strategic function and not as a support function.
Thank you. So, last lines for the discussion on the capacity building of the human resources dealing with banking and microfinance. First, is
Yeah, focus should be on customer communication. Yes, the trade should be strengthened for responsible lending, ethical correction, digital knowledge enhancement, AI-driven, AI-assisted learning. I think whatever possible is thought, this can be done in the short term or in the long term. Yes, the career path should be there. And yes, there should be learning, digital enabled learning platforms and all these things. I think it's a combination of short term as well as a long term lines that we should be having for employees to work at capacity building. And the organization should take very badly. And yes, all the how passionate the organization is, and the leaders should be role models in this case, and everything they communicate should be with some intent, and they should get this to.
one thing, sir, I can assure you, maybe knowing that we got wonderful leaders over here in microfinance. Over the period of time, we could understand they're really amazing leaders. I mean, they can balance the business and also the social objective very well. And if you see, most of the institutions which are really grown, the leaders are amazing.
The reason why the public sector is still in the community quite well, despite all the right countries.
Right. Thank you very much. The last word from your friend, because you are from the fraternity, so you have to.
So my request is that let the business heads, comes the CHROs, the CFO, cut down whatever apex you want. Don't look at training as an apex. You need to continue to invest in training. I think that's the single biggest contribution you can make to the industry. The moment we start cutting down costs because training is easy and it's not tangible, I think we're asking for disaster. If you see what happened with the World Cup, talent may have brought some of those teams up to the finals, but what differentiated was capacity building. It's training always. It's important for us to understand that training is something which will bring out champions in everyone in your company every single day, not once every 4 years when there's a disaster, typical and cyclical in nature of our industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have learned a lot from itself. The two things which I really want to take it forward from here. One is adaptation of the expectations, what you have told from both of the sides, from the employees also and from the field also, like the clients also. We can put the expectation together. Possibly we can build up our strategies that way. Another one, what Mani was also talking about, the capacity building. This is very interesting that you are talking about the clarity quotient has to be in. It is not your my way or highway. The clarity should be there. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much. So please be seated. Gigi sir, may I request you to come on the stage? Just a small token of showing our gratitude. Mr. Ajit Kumar, MD and CEO of Dhanalakshmi Bank. Please, we are very close to lunch. Very close. Just 5 minutes more. Co-CEO and MD Microfinance Limited.
Okay.
So, as we come close to today's conclave,
Ma'am, please take it. I'll take it. Okay. Come up.
oh, thank you, Dr. Shoaib for Sa-Dhan.
Yes.
Look here, all of you.
All of you look here. Okay, thank you, thank you.
The principal sponsored.
Like it. Next time. Get it. My second gift to the colonies.
Yes, this is for the organization, Vishal.
Represent it.
We have Muthoot Microfinance, who is the co-sponsor. May I request Udish and Shubhranshu to come on stage?
That sounded dead.
Udish and Shubhranshu, please come on stage. Co-sponsor.
Oh no, we can't come to it. Let's have a lady also.
Yes, it's please. Yes, please. Yes, for the organization. In Kochi, from Kochi, a small gift. Thank you so much, Muthoot. Then we have Kasafi Association partner Joseph. May I request Joseph to come on stage, please, Kasafi? They are our association partners. Last but not the least, our knowledge partner is Samavit. Nimisha is representing Samavit. Nimisha, I would request you to come on stage. Samavit would... I would like to mention here that whatever happened here today, we'll be writing a report on this and circulating to all the participants here, and those probably wouldn't turn up, wouldn't come somehow, some way. We will be sharing with them also the report. I request Mr. Mamen to close the event by giving the vote of thanks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ritu, for wonderfully carrying this program and doing the part. And thank you everyone for being here and spending the first half of this day meaningfully hearing and understanding about the HR needs of the district. But if you see the whole program, we had 3 sessions of discussions. One was basically on how do we adhere with the norms and the laws of the country as far as HR is concerned, and which will also be beneficial to our employees who will be able to continue with us for a longer period of time. So that was the first aspect of the discussion, and heard from the panelists and from the the lead presenter only from ESY, and also the panelists who are present on the stage about how the new code is making a difference and how it has to be taken into account for our functioning of the organization. So God not only to help us in complying with the needs, complying with the laws of the country, but also helping satisfying our staff, and they will be able to continue with us for a longer period, and at least it becomes a major challenge for many of us. So that was the first set of discussions. And here I said, follow-up action, I will request Sa-Dhan to let us prepare a kind of FAQ on various aspects of scores, and try to prepare as a document. But I added with me also, whether the AI will be able to support us, will help us. I think we should be able to do that. She's said yes. So we'll try to bring out that kind of I would say something like an FAQ. A lot of things are still not very clear. A lot of doubts are still there. Let's try to make it. So for which what we will do is that we will be calling for one kind of questions and queries from all of you, especially in CHROs. And we compile them and try to put them aside in it, get a document, and we get the right kind of answer to that from your other persons who are having the expert knowledge. This is number one. Second set of our discussion was on how do we treat our employees, how do we treat our staff, whether it is on the field or whether it is in the office, or whether we have provided the residential support and or if not, how do we treat them, how do we help them in them, continuing to have a much more better lifestyle. That is what we were trying to discuss in the second set of discussion, and thank Harish for moderating that session and bringing out the right kind of answers to some of the questions which we had been having in our mind. And third one, although it was called a five-side check, more of I would say, delivery of the thoughts from our two eminent speakers. One was Ajit Kumar, is the MD of the Lakshmi Bank, and Mr. Manoj, who is the MD designate of Ashirwad Microfinance. So both of them told us how capacity building or training is important as far as the staff management is concerned, the employee management is concerned. So it's an investment. It's not at all an operational cost. It's an investment for the organization, and that's what it was told. So let's hope that we will be able to abide with what the speakers told us, bringing more and more focus on the training aspects and the capacity building aspects. Let me also bring it here to three aspects. See, now we have been hearing about one so-called union from Bihar, AYDED or something like that. That is already out. I think Microfinance administrating it. It's not a recognized trade, but they are making a lot of noise. They can make noise in the social media and other areas. So one of the things we should be looking at is that, okay, I'm not saying that we should be cognizant to what they say, but we should be sure where we are standing. Issues which they talk about should not be there in our organization is concerned. At least we should be avoiding such kind of issues in our organization. Second issue is that many times we need to talk to the government, we need to talk to some of the senior administrators. And one issue which comes up is that there are incidents of coercion, the incidents of misbehavior by the employees of police. I don't say everything is correct, but then there are instances. We got to say entirely it's wrong. Because I was also telling the other day, I was talking to the CEO of UP State Transformation Commission or something like that. He's an ex-CA, Chief Secretary of the state, who after the retirement he's become the CEO of this transformation. So I was telling him, and he was very understanding also, he accepted what I said also. I said, there are more than 3 lakh people working in this industry. We are dealing with almost 8 crore households, 8 crore borrowers. There could be 1 or 2 instances happening here and there, but people are different. Yes. We can't say everybody is away. So there could be 1 or 2 such instances happening here and there. That should not be made as a generalization. That's what I tell, and he very well accepted. He said, I fully agree with you. People are of different nature, that will be one way of use. If you highlight with such issues, you will find a lot of problems as far as the sector is concerned. So what my point is that let's keep a watch on employees. Let's give them the kind of right kind of input, right kind of training, right kind of capacity building. Let us build a culture for the organization, which is the kind of culture to just build up. So I'm sure everyone has a kind of a culture that we are talking about, which will be more empathetic to the people, which will be more human in nature, and will be able to support our clients who are basically the middle of the society. So for which training and continued mentorship is very much important. So capacity building is about it. I'm sure today's discussion was really helping forming some kind of a better understanding, and we'll be able to take it forward in our HR management. I conclude here. I thank everyone who has participated here, and also my team, especially Saibal, Ritu, Rituparna, then Karthik. They are taking a lot of efforts in organizing this. I thank everyone and hope to see you in national conference in Delhi on 7th and 8th. And as Rituparna said, once again, I'm reiterating, there are 3 awards, of which one is an award about the women-friendly organization. As I was hearing here, some of you are already giving a lot of focus on that. Please give your details for the awards so that we'll be able to take the right kind of decisions. So thank you so much, and we are concluding here, and let's wait for each let's all have a group photo. So all of you can come here, come to the near to the stage. Please look out to the stage. Some people can stand on the stage, some people can stand below. And if necessary, you can also put a line of chairs also, so that everyone will be visible in the photograph. So please join for the photograph, and after the photograph is all, we can break for the lunch. And thank you so much. Thank you very much for that.